Hi, I'm Chris Haroun, and this MBA degree program is not what you think it is. It's better. This program is more than 25 years of business experience, all rolled into one easy-to-access online program. I've sold over 1 million courses in every single country. I've worked at Goldman Sachs. I have an MBA from Columbia University, and I've worked in the venture capital, hedge fund, and consulting industries. I've also started many companies, and my courses have been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, CNN, and NBC. If you're ready to nail your next interview, get a better job, get a raise, start that business you've always dreamt of, improve the one you currently run, or better manage your personal finances, then this MBA degree program is for you. I can't begin to tell you how comprehensive this program is. It's got everything, including more than 300 hours of on-demand video. I would have to do one of those dramatic opening title crawls from a certain space movie just to show you. And check out all the amazing reviews from students who have already enrolled in this MBA degree program. This on-demand version of the program is only $499, and it's more up to date than many of these old-fashioned MBA programs, which cost you well over $100,000. Not to mention, they don't even teach you the practical concepts included in my program. Last but not least, there is a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. And because you can access this program from any device, meaning a desktop computer, or a laptop computer, or a tablet, or even your smartphone, it means you can comfortably fit it into your schedule. Even if you work full-time, it's no problem. So if you're ready to unlock the key to your potential, then I'll see you in class. Good morning and welcome to our 93rd weekly webcast. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way the call works is I answer all questions. They can be business questions, career questions, personal questions, etc. And the call ends in 3 hours at 11 a.m. San Francisco time. Now, I answer the questions in the order in which I receive them. And so if I miss one of your questions accidentally, or if I don't answer it properly, then please put me on the spot because I want to humbly help if I possibly can to answer your questions correctly. Now, the way it works is within 24 hours of this call being completed, you can actually go to the replay and then go to the description field and you'll be able to click on every single question so you can get immediate access to the right time in the video so I can save you time. So without further ado, let's begin, and thanks as always. Our first question is from Manas. Manas is saying, hi, sir, call me Chris, please. Hope all is well. First of all, congrats. Your course is now on the New York Times list, a great achievement, and God bless you and your family. Thank you. Actually, I didn't see that. I saw it in the New York Post, but if it's the New York Times, I'll be happy because I know my dad reads that every day. And my dad, he's from Egypt. He reads the New York Times every day. And my biggest dream in life is to be published in the New York Times so my dad can be reading the newspaper in the morning to my mom, Jackie, and he'll say, oh, Jackie, Habibi, Chris, it wrote an article here. So that's my dream, but I think it's the New York Post, not the Times. But if it is the Times, let me know, please. Thanks. Or maybe my dad will let me know. We'll see. Okay, and your question is, do you think Amazon is going to survive in the next decade, and why? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Amazon is, a lot of people think of Amazon as just a retail delivery company, but it's so much more. It's actually two companies in one, two amazing companies. And I think that the United States Department of Justice is going to break Amazon into two companies within the next decade. One company will be the delivery service we all use, and the other company will be something called Amazon Web Services. which is a software platform that powers many of the biggest internet companies out there. And so with this terrible COVID crisis we're going through, I think for obvious reasons that home deliveries are going to continue to see very high organic growth. And I also believe that streaming online services like Netflix, et cetera, will grow in popularity. Now, the company that powers Netflix runs almost 100% of its computers on Amazon through Amazon's operating system software in the cloud called Amazon Web Services. And so the reason why Amazon Web Services is so relevant and such a juggernaut in technology is because usually companies that have a lot of market power, they cut prices very rarely. For example, Microsoft until recently had a monopoly on their Windows operating system. And in fact, until recently, they only cut the pricing point on Windows 3 times going back to the 1980s. Now, if we compare and contrast that with Amazon Web Services, it was initially launched in 2005. And since then, they've cut the pricing point more than 100 times. And there's hundreds of apps that you can actually access for a very low price as well on that operating system called Amazon Web Services. Now, the reason why Amazon Web Services exists even is because in late 2005, Jeff Bezos realized that they couldn't fulfill all the holiday shopping needs. And so what they did was they said, oh my goodness, we have to create all these new buildings with servers and turn them on right before holidays so we can ship all those gifts and not have our servers crashed. And then what happened was every January, Amazon had this excess capacity and they didn't know what to do with it at all. And so what Jeff Bezos did, which was brilliant, is he started actually renting out that space to other companies. And he cut the pricing point over and over and over again, as I mentioned. And we wouldn't have incredible companies like Lyft. I'm not going to mention Uber for social reasons. We wouldn't have had great companies as well, like Airbnb, Netflix, etc., seeing the amount of success they have now, if it weren't for Amazon, because Amazon is adamant about being the lowest cost provider. And I think Amazon is actually very deflationary to the world. And I wrote a couple articles online on Wired Magazine, as well as VentureBeat, which is a venture capital website. I wrote articles on how Amazon Web Services is this generation's Berlin Wall teardown event. And what I mean by this is this. So Alan Greenspan, who used to be in charge of interest rates in America, he was the Federal Reserve chairperson. He came and he guest lectured to us when I worked at a great hedge fund years ago called Citadel. And what Dr. Greenspan said was the reason we had such unprecedented economic growth back in the 1990s was because the Berlin Wall fell in 1989. And what happened was when the Berlin Wall fell, you had all this brilliant lower cost labor from Eastern Europe moving west. And the biggest input into inflation and interest rates actually is labor. And I've got a piece of the Berlin Wall here I want to show you. This is cool. Oops. It wasn't this color when they tore it down. That it was painted by the artist I bought it from. I bought this at Checkpoint Charlie last year because Udemy, the great platform I teach on, they actually had their annual event there. And so I bought this, a piece of the Berlin Wall. So it gives me inspiration now when I speak. Plus, my favorite president ever was Ronald Reagan, and he gave the best damn speech ever in front of the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin when he said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Then the wall came down in 89. And so it was very deflationary and helped to keep prices in check. Now, I mentioned that there's a similarity between this and Amazon Web Services because Amazon Web Services is just as deflationary, and Amazon as a whole, as the Berlin Wall was. They keep prices in check. And so just to sum up your question, do I think that Amazon is going to survive the next decade? I don't think they're going to survive as a single company. I think they're going to thrive as a single company, and then they'll thrive again as two separate companies because my humble opinion is the DOJ and the EU eventually will work on splitting them into two companies because they're too powerful. One is core Amazon, meaning the stuff we buy from them shipped to our house, and the other one is digital stuff, including Amazon Web Services. All right, what a great first question. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Let me just put this back. And I've got pedals on the ground here, as a lot of you probably know. And the reason I have those pedals there is because I like to teach by myself here and teach all my students how to set up a similar setup so that you can teach yourself. And it's not as expensive as you think. In fact, one of my great students in my MBA degree program, his name is Jim Reardon. He was using a webcast this week with me over Zoom with many of my students, and it was better quality than this camera. And I asked him, my goodness, Jim, what are you using? And he said, I'm using an old iPhone 6. And he's downloaded a piece of software and hooked it up directly to his computer. It's amazing. So all of you, to quote the great Seth Godin, you all already have everything you need to build something bigger than yourself. Why? Because you all have a cell phone and you all have internet access. And so you can create companies from home. You can stream from home. You can teach online from home as well. If you want to learn how to teach online, I have a couple of free courses based on mistakes I've made teaching online. And you can get those free courses if you want from Udemy's website. And let me take you there with me. All right. So if you search for Udemy and then Chris Haroun, is that how you pronounce that? Just kidding. All right. This will come up here. And then what you can do, and just don't look at the ones that you have to pay money for, go to the end here. And I've written this course in many different languages. Okay, it's called 40 Tips on Making a Great Online Course based on 40 mistakes I've made. It's in Arabic. It's in 12 different languages. And I've also got another version of that called Another 40 Tips on Making a Great Online Course. I'm not very creative, so I just called it Another. But it's in here as well. And I promise you, it will help you out tremendously to teach from home. And I think that we all have something to teach. And I humbly believe that when one teaches, two learn. And so it's a great side hustle. And for those of you that are at home because of this terrible COVID disease, take my free courses because they'll teach you how to teach online. So you can create a side hustle and maybe turn your passion of teaching into what you do full time. Again, anybody can do it. All you need is a cell phone and internet access, which you all have. And you can take those 2 free courses of mine to learn all the mistakes I've made so you can work smarter and not harder. Now, some of you might be thinking, Chris, that doesn't make any sense at all. How can I possibly teach online? I'm too young or too old, which is BS, and I don't have any skills to teach. Yes, you do. I promise you, you do. Everybody does. In fact, there's this great streamer named Ninja, and he used to stream on Twitch. Now he streams on Microsoft exclusively because they gave him an insanely high contract to do it. But Ninja actually started out on Udemy, teaching how to stream using Twitch. And the same thing with, there's wonderful people that have come from very, very difficult backgrounds that have reinvented themselves and teach online now. One amazing woman is Teresa Greenway. And I interviewed her years ago for my Inc. column, and I had tears in my eyes. Here's her story. And while I tell you about her story, I'm going to pull up her courses here. And I never get comped by anybody to say anything about any courses, ever, including Udemy. It's an algorithm. But there's this woman named Teresa Greenway, okay? And she was in this awful abusive marriage, married to this bastard. And she had the courage to take her kids with her and leave. And she was living off of food stamps. And so she thought to herself, she's one person, what can I do to support my family that I absolutely love doing? And it's very prophetic, but for her, it was baking bread. And so that's what she does. She's done extraordinarily well teaching about sourdough bread, how to bake all this bread. She's done really, really well. And she's reinvented herself. So Teresa 2.0 is awesome. And you 2.0 can be just as awesome if you learn to teach online. Again, take my free courses on Udemy on how to teach online. And it's when one teaches to learn. And I think the only way to fix all the problems we have in this world today is through education. Education fixes all problems in the world. And you have something to teach. I promise you. And if you get a chance, if you want, check out my TEDx talk on how I think education, technology, and acceptance, that's TEA, technology, education, and acceptance, T, can solve all problems in the world. I also gave a keynote not too long ago at a very large venture capital association in Sao Paulo on what I view the future is going to be like because of education. So I think you can all do it. And I think what's going to happen actually is I think that a lot of universities are going to go bankrupt within the next 1 to 2 decades. And here's why. I think it's going to be harder to get into the schools like Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, whatever, all the schools where people's parents went there, and that's why they got in. Many of them, not all of them, but you know what I mean. I think it's going to be harder to get into those schools because they're, I don't know, a great brand. But I think many other second and third tier schools, meaning universities number 101 to 1,000 in the world, I think a lot of them will go bankrupt because people are going to think, well, I don't know if it really makes sense for me to spend a couple $100,000 or $100,000 or whatever it is to get a university education. And a lot of the stuff that you learn in school, aside from the medical stuff, a lot of the stuff you learn from school, from those traditional expensive schools, you can't apply in the real world anyway. Like, think about it. Like, for those of you with business degrees, MBAs, and I have a couple of business degrees, we all graduated not knowing how to manage our own money, but we learned how to manage other people's money. And we also graduated not knowing how to present with passion from the heart, which is really important if you want to sell anything. Speaking of sales, we never learned how to sell. We learned a lot of antiquated stuff that really isn't relevant anymore today. And we learned theoretical crap like supply and demand graphs, which maybe it makes sense if you're an economist, of which there's 195 today for 195 countries, I think. Yeah. So I think a lot of people are just not going to go to university. Or if they do go to university, they'll supplement it by taking online courses. Now, I think that undergraduate degrees having 4 years is ridiculous. You have 13 hours of class a week. That's it. I don't know why I didn't make it to 11 for some reason. Can't remember. I had fun, no regrets. But you graduate with a lot of debt and you end up learning nothing that you can apply in the real world. Again, unless you study sciences or in school. You want to learn how to program? You don't have to go to MIT to get a computer science degree. You can just go to udemy.com and take courses from the wonderful Angela Yu or Rob Percival from the United Kingdom. They teach online, plus their accents are British, which means they speak gooder than me. It's true, they sound smarter. They are smarter, yeah. But I don't think as many people are going to go to university in the future. And because of this crisis now, a lot of people are thinking, why should I go to university if I can't really mingle with other people until maybe there's a cure for this crisis? So I don't get the full university experience. So why should I take an online degree from a school that's going to charge me $100,000 that I was supposed to go to otherwise? And so if you get a chance, please check out my MBA degree program. You can go to HarounEducation.com to check it out. It's $499, and we have over 400 hours of brand new content that I recorded using all 5 of my 4K cameras here. I'm a nerd, I know. And there's a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. So check it out, please. Thank you. All right. Next question is, can you please explain the story of Intel's core processors one more time? You explained the theory where faulty chips were sold to the public. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Intel, and I have a chip here somewhere. Give me 1 second to see if I can dig it up. Yeah. Anyway, it's here somewhere. You guys can't see the floor. The floor is really messy. But so what happened was, and I've blogged about this last week, was Andy Grove, who's the late great co-founder of Intel. What happened was in 1994, I believe it was, he realized that if you did very complex calculations with a gazillion decimal points on using an Intel processor, it won't be 100% accurate. It'll be slightly off. And so I believe that transparency builds trust. And so what Mr. Grove did, and this is one of the most brilliant PR marketing campaigns in history. Here's what he did. He went on all the talk shows. I remember it. CNBC, Bloomberg TV, Report on Business News in Canada, etc. And he owned up to it. And he said, my name is Andy Grove. I work at a company called Intel. And we released this product, and there's a problem with it. And so anybody watching that bought this product, let us know. We'll send you a brand new one for free. And the unintended positive consequence from that was this incredible bond that commenced with consumers and Intel. Because if you think about it, Intel, which makes the brain of the computer, the processor, you can't see that chip. Like, no, hardly anybody opens up their computer. So how the heck do you brand a chip and build customer loyalty and respect and trust? Well, what he did was he owned up to the mistake, and everybody saw this really nice, well-spoken guy that basically told you about his product, and now you understand what the product is in your computer. And so what happened was Intel's business really took off then. And prior to then, and prior to them getting into the processor market, meaning the 286, 386, 486 Pentium and all other great stuff they create, they used to be in the RAM business, DRAM, which is basically chips that allows you to have many programs open at once. And what happened was there was really, really tough Japanese competition in the 1980s. And so Intel had to give up on that business. And they started the processor business. And this was their coming of age moment, so to speak, when Andy Grove went on television and articulated what the company does. Absolutely brilliant. Last thing I'll say in that is that every time you see an Intel commercial, or I should say a computer commercial, whenever you hear the Intel jingle, Intel pays 40% of that commercial, regardless of what hardware company or PC company is advertising that. Absolutely brilliant. It's a wonderful case study in business management when it comes to crisis, as well as how to deal with unexpected events. Read Andy Grove's book if you get a chance, please. It's my favorite business book now. It's called Only the Paranoid Survive. And he talks about how you can pivot your company when it comes to a strategic inflection point, as he calls it, to improve the prospects of your business in the long run. Next question is this recession season going to be a severe depression? Yeah. So a recession is defined as 2 quarters that are down year over year when it comes to revenue for a country, which is called GDP, gross domestic product. So if you have 2 quarters that are down year over year, then that's called a recession. If there's 3 down year over year, some people refer to it as a depression. So yes, I think it might end up being called as a depression, unlike 2008, which was called the Great Recession. But I think there's going to be a lot of parallels to what happened back in the 1930s, when in the United States, at 20s even, when you had this Great Depression. But I think that our governments today are much more sophisticated than they were back then when it comes to monetary policy and fiscal policy. Monetary policy means changing the policy of money by making interest rates go up and down by buying or selling bonds. Fiscal policy means lowering taxes or stimulus programs, giving people money to stimulate the economy. Back in previous depressions, or the last depression, I should say, they raised interest rates a lot. Versus this cycle, economic cycle, they cut interest rates and created a ton of stimulus programs globally. And actually, the EU announced one today, $1.5 trillion stimulus program, which is commensurate with that of the United States. So I think that governments are much more sophisticated now when it comes to handling financial crises, especially given what happened in 2008, which is only 12 years ago. So it's going to be severe, I think. I don't think it's going to be as severe as the 1930s. Because interest rates were much, much higher then. But I think it's going to be quite severe, unfortunately. And so what we can all do is we can actually start our own companies online from home. If you have a cell phone, which you all have, and you have internet connection, you can do it. You don't have to be here in Silicon Valley or Palo Alto to start your own business anymore. You can be anywhere, man. You know, broadband is truly ubiquitous. Internet access is quite cheap globally. And you don't have to physically be anywhere to start a company. And so when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And so I know this is a terrible point in history. And I pray every day for everybody that has COVID and is going through financial problems. That being said, with crisis comes opportunity. This is your opportunity to start a company at home, a side hustle. Even if you work for somebody else right now, you can still kind of start a side hustle in your spare time. You can do it. You can do it and it costs you nothing. And if you want to learn how to do it, you can take my MBA degree program if you want to, or you can actually take, which has a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. Or what you can do is you can actually take my business plan course. So go to Udemy and do a search for complete business plan. I can't spell business; it's two S's apparently. And then you'll pull this up here, and I'll go into incognito mode because I don't want to log in as a user that's already using it. And you can get it for a low price, and there's 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. And I promise you, this will help you launch your business or your money back, Failing to plan is planning to fail. And a lot of people don't write business plans. And that's one of the reasons why many companies fail. In fact, if you already have a business up and running, you should still write a business plan. Because again, failing to plan is planning to fail. Kind of like if you bought a stock but didn't do research on it, instead of buy and hold, it should be buy and homework. So check out this course, please, if you get a chance. Also, I have another course called the Complete Job Course. And it's the only course I actually have, and it's on Udemy as well. Complete Job Course. It's the I can't spell again. It's the only course I have where I offer a lifetime 100% money back guarantee. I'm so confident you'll get the job of your dreams after taking this course. You get a 100% lifetime money back guarantee. And if anybody's watching this that bought this course a couple of years from now and it didn't help you get the job of your dreams, send me an email today and I'll give you your money back as well personally. My personal email is charoun@gmail.com. My COO is rolling her eyes right now. I know it's Wrigley, who's my awesome, actually Wrigley's my COO, my wife's my CFO, but Wrigley is shaking his head right now thinking, Chris, what are you doing? What are you doing? I care so much. 50 Cent said one of his album titles was Get Rich or Die Trying. For me, it's Teach or Die Trying. And I'm trying. Hopefully I'm doing an okay job. There's that saying, those who can't do, teach. And those who can't teach gym class. And I suck at sports as well, so we're all in trouble here. Just kidding. If I can't laugh at myself, then I can't live long. Yeah. All right. I think you got to laugh hard every day. I remember when I was a kid, dude. I remember I used to laugh so hard every day until it hurt. Remember those days? Were you with your buddy in high school, whatever it was, and you're on the ground laughing so hard? Why can't we get that back? Why can't we live like that again? What happened to us after we graduated from high school and started working in the corporate world? Did we lose our personalities? Did we lose our joie de vivre? What happened? What happened was we weren't being ourselves. And there's a great chart I have to show you. It's a graph. Let me get a prop to show you this. And I'll use a drumstick. I don't play the drum, but I was teaching a lesson to my MBA students, and I used a Will Ferrell prop from a Saturday Night Live skit. More cowbell. Here we go. I feel like a conductor here. So here's a chart I think can change your life, humbly. On the x-axis here is your age. On the y-axis here is give a darn, okay? Age, give a darn. When you're really young down here, like my kids, my three boys, you can see right there sort of in that faded out picture. When you're really young, you don't give a damn. You don't care what people think of you. You have meltdowns in restaurants, whatever, it is what it is. And then when you're really old, you also don't give a damn what people think. The problem is when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and sometimes later, you're up here. You give a damn what people think. And I call this the triangle of despair, and I think you should avoid it at all costs. Okay, you got to live your life on this level and not give a damn what anybody thinks of you or your choices in life or anything about you personally. Okay, you got to live at this level. And the best entrepreneurs in the world live at this level. They don't give a damn what people think. I'm not telling you to be rude or disingenuous, but just you shouldn't give a damn what anybody thinks of you. So if you want to change careers and you're worried what perception might be from your parents or your friends or whatever it is, do what you're passionate about. Do what you're passionate about, and I promise you, you'll get your laughter back, your joie de vivre, your euphoria back. Live at this level. The best entrepreneurs live at this level. They don't give a damn what anybody, like Elon Musk never cared what anybody thought of him. God bless him. He's doing his thing to, I think, make the world a better place with electric batteries, solar, etc., and space too. He gives us all hope in the future. But he never gave a damn. He lived at this level. All the best entrepreneurs do. And starting today, I want all of you as well, please, to live at this level, not give a damn. Avoid the triangle despair. And this is your homework. Your homework is this. It's getting hot in here. Let me turn on the air conditioning. Your homework is, we got a heat wave here in Northern California. Your homework is, I want you to get a piece of paper or open Microsoft Word or Pages, whatever, on your handheld. And I want you to write this down. I don't care about X. And I want you to do that 10 times and fill in the blank for that parameter X. So it might be, I don't care what people think of my choices in life. This is my life, nobody else's. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life, earmuffs, swear word coming up, sorry. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life being someone else's bitch. I'm not going to be a prisoner in my mind of anyone else's expectations of me. You know, somebody else's expectations of me, to quote the great Les Brown, someone's expectations of me does not have to become my reality. I don't care about X. Fill in the blank for X. I don't care what people think about my job. I don't care what people think about my terrible high hair dye. I've been gray since my 20s, actually. And I remember when I worked at Goldman, Mark Mulrooney, who's on my team, great guy, he would say, Chris Haroun is going gray, but that's okay. Whatever. I make fun of myself. I don't care that people think I'm crazy because I want to teach and not do venture capital or hedge fund stuff, which is what I used to do. I don't care. I just want to be me. And I want you to be you. Because as Dr. Seuss said, those that mind don't matter, and those that matter don't mind. Do what you want to do. Make yourself happy. Fail more times. As Denzel Washington said, fail forward. Fail forward. And I got to quote somebody, a lot of quotes today. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, said, when you got your back against the wall, there's only one way to move, which is forward. So starting today, write down those 10 things. I don't care what people think about X. And X can be your career, how little money you have, or more, a lot of money, or whatever it is. And especially failure. Oh, you got to make sure that you don't give a damn what people think of you when it comes to failure. Because every entrepreneur that ever made it big, and I'll quote Mark Cuban now, all you have to do in business is be right one time. But every entrepreneur that ever made it big has failed more times than you and I have combined. I promise you that. But they just didn't give a damn what people thought of them. You know, like Oprah failed many times starting off her incredible media career. She didn't care what people thought of her. Same thing with J.K. Rowling. Oh, this is a good one. J.K. Rowling, as we know, wrote the Harry Potter books. And she was rejected like 30 times by 30 publishers. And she was an assistant at the time. She hated her job. And poor thing was a single mother. There's no such thing as a deadbeat mother, but there are many deadbeat fathers, unfortunately. And so what she did was she was like, I don't care. I got rejected 30 times. I want to write. I want to write story. Imagine at the time, you know, this woman in her 20s or 30s, whatever it was, her friends asking her, what do you want to do? And she's like, well, I want to write this story about this, I don't know, this little kid that gets on one of these things and flies around and his enemy is Slytherin. She didn't give a damn. You got to be the same way as well. Don't fear failure. Embrace it. Embrace it. You know, I'm proud of my employees when they fail. That's right. That's right. We had a couple issues this week, and I respected my employees so much more. Why? Because they tried something new that didn't work, but God bless them for it. You gotta reward people and award people for failure, for taking risks. Otherwise, innovation grinds to a halt. The same thing when it comes to innovation in your life and your career. Okay, you got to keep reinventing yourself and keep failing, because you only have to be right in business once. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, so many great entrepreneurs failed with their first ventures, and every great author as well, including C.S. Lewis and Agatha Christie. They all failed over and over and over again. But wait, what makes them different from the masses is they just didn't care what anybody thought. So to sum this up, starting today, more cowbell. Starting today, and people don't get that reference. Do a search on Saturday Night Live and more cowbell. It's the best skit ever with Christopher Walken and Will Ferrell. Back to teaching, Chris. Starting today, I want you to live at this level here. Okay, your age, and this is give a damn, right here. It's not too late to reinvent yourself. I got to talk about Colonel Sanders really quickly because this is awesome. And he actually lived in my hometown later on in his life in Mississauga, which is just outside of Toronto, in a tiny house. Really humble guy. But Colonel Sanders, he was a failure his entire life. And in the 1950s, when he was 65, which basically means 8 million years old today, but in the 1950s, when he was 65, he was down and out, and he was actually thinking of not wanting to live anymore, and he did the right thing. He actually reinvented himself. God bless him, and he started KFC. Well, it used to be called Kentucky Fried Chicken, but they renamed it from a marketing perspective, KFC, to de-emphasize the word fried, F. But he started it at 65. Unbelievable. And the interesting thing about the difference between the 1950s and today is statistically, it's true that people are now living 26 years longer today than they did back in the 1950s. What does that mean? That means that you are 26 years younger than you think. If you're 56, you're actually 30. Welcome to the new you. Time to start over. All right, let me put away my toys, my props. Dude, it is so hot. And when you have all these lights here, you have to, it's bizarre, but you got to put on makeup. Otherwise, like they do it in movies and TV and everything. And I severely cut myself shaving this morning, so I don't know if you can see it, but I had to cover it up with a bit of makeup stuff there. Yeah. All right. Takes a man to suffer ignorance and smile. Be yourself no matter what they say, to quote the great Sting from Englishman in New York. Remember that song? It's a great one. All right, next up we've got, do you think a company that's not innovating is not growing and diversifying? Yeah, so I humbly believe, especially in the tech sector, when a founder or all the founders leave a company or are no longer somewhat engaged with the company, when founders leave a company, investors got to run for the exits. Always, please. Why? Because founders don't give a damn about politics or bureaucracy. They've got the support of the board. They're awesome. And they never cared what people thought of them or their ideas. They just innovate and think long-term like Jeff Bezos does, for example. So I think that when founders leave, what happens is innovation dies. And the reason is because of this. If you're working in a company and you're a senior executive, and let's say the founder's not there anymore, you're a senior executive, and you're working on climbing the corporate ladder, and all you've really learned, or a lot of what you learned, is how to navigate politics in your own company. You're climbing the ladder. And if you try to take a risk in that company by innovating, creating a new product or service or whatever it is, or disrupting your own moat, so to speak, if you do that and you fail, you're done. You're not climbing the ladder anymore. And if you're successful, you're not going to get paid what you should get paid, because the whole compensation structure is kind of fixed at a lot of companies. You'll get paid a little bit more, but not a lot. The incentive is to start your own company. And so the problem with a lot of big companies is there's so much bureaucracy and politics that innovation dies. And so what happens is a lot of times big companies, they have to decide whether to buy or build a product. Build means innovate. And they say, screw it, let's just buy. And the problem with that is big companies that do a lot of acquisitions, usually when they do the acquisition, the actual company or product that the acquired company sells or makes doesn't sell as well. I mean, it's put through different distribution channels, so you initially see a big ramp up. But we used to joke about Hewlett Packard, because HP used to buy a lot of software companies. And here in Palo Alto, we used to say that Hewlett Packard is where software companies go to die. And speaking of Hewlett Packard and bureaucracy and politics, I have a very, very good friend that worked there for about 20 years. And he called me up and he said, Chris, I want to leave HP. Can you please help me? Help me with my resume and LinkedIn profile. And I said, of course. And so we sat down and I was going through his resume. I won't tell you who he is. I was going through his resume and LinkedIn profile. And I was trying to help him build out his profile. And I said, dude, okay, what have you learned at HP, like over the past 20 years? And he said, Chris, to be honest, all I've learned is how to navigate Hewlett-Packard politics. And unfortunately, that's not a portable skill. Yeah, yeah. So I really do believe that when a founder leaves a company, innovation grinds to a halt. And I'll show you the article that I wrote about it if you're curious. Just do a search on VentureBeat, Chris Haroun. VentureBeat is it's a great website for venture capital articles. And I wrote a guest article here. So it's called "When a Company Founder Resigns, Investors Should Run for the Exit." I wrote it back in 2014. I think it stands then and it stands true today as well. It holds up. It holds up. So especially in a tech company, because in technology, the second a founder leaves, and there are exceptions, one exception per decade actually. Once a founder leaves, that company starts becoming a little bit less relevant and goes into secular decline. And if you look at Apple, for example, yes, it's a great company. I love their products. But since Steve Jobs, God bless him, moved on in 2011, they haven't really innovated, if you think about it. They haven't done anything groundbreaking. They made a bigger iPad, a smaller iPad, a bigger iPhone, a cheaper iPhone, a watch, and they don't tell you how many of these watches they sell because they don't want to let you know that it's not selling as well as it should. They made this cheese grater computer, which I have, which is great, by the way. But it's not, there's no amazing new innovation there. There's no groundbreaking brand new product line for them. So when a founder leaves a company, investors should run for the exit. Now, there's one exception per decade when it comes to that. And I want to talk about IBM. Great company. Give me 1 second. So turnarounds don't work in technology. And I get a lot of questions from my students on books to read and check out. But I want to be intellectually honest and objective. And I want to show you one turnaround that actually worked. And so this here is Lou Gerstner, and he started his career at McKinsey, and then he went to, which is a consulting firm, then he went to IBM. And at IBM, he was a CEO, and he turned them around. And this is a great book about how he did it. It's called Who Says Elephants Can't Dance? And so what he did was this. I'll summarize it for you quickly. And this will hopefully help out as well as you think about starting your companies. By the way, never start a company where you're making a physical product, okay? And if you do, make sure that you sell it first, kind of like Michael Dell does with computers, meaning you sell it, the customer buys it, then you create it and ship it. That's called just-in-time inventory management, which was pioneered by Edward Deming. But what Lou Gerstner realized was in the early 90s when he became CEO at IBM, he realized that IBM is a company that makes computers where profit margins are really, really thin. They don't make much money off of hardware, inventory issues, et cetera. And so what they did was he then re-engineered the company, changed it, turned it around, and made it a software and services company, which is brilliant. And so IBM doesn't sell computers anymore. Those ThinkPads, which are great laptops, by the way, they were sold. It was sold to a Chinese company called Lenovo. Lexmark, the printer company, used to be owned by IBM. It got spun off as well. IBM started to create software products internally and acquire as well. And what they also did was they kind of looked at Accenture's business model, and they kind of created something like that as well called IBM Global Services. And it was brilliant. It was brilliant because, and I remember I worked at Accenture back in the 90s, and I worked in North Carolina on the merger of Nations Bank and Bank of America. And Accenture was there. They were consultants for B of A, Bank of America. And so was IBM Global Services. And it was smart. You always want to hire two companies that compete with each other because competition is good for the consumer. But it was tough for us at Accenture to compete with IBM's consultants because IBM's consultants were basically doing the same kind of consulting we were, except they were also selling IBM software products at a big discount. So I think that IBM Global Services is like a distribution channel for software as well. It's quite brilliant. And I think that one of the largest acquirers of software companies in the next 50 years is going to be Accenture because this model works. IBM's model works when it comes to services and high margin software. put this back. And that's the most Canadian bookshelf ever. You see that? My parents downsized to an apartment, and they were going to throw that out. I was like, dude, that's too cool. I can't throw that out. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I got to show you one more thing. Speaking of the most Canadian bookshelf ever, this is Wayne Gretzky. This is his rookie card. Okay, and one of my first businesses when I was a kid, and I started tons of companies as a kid and even older, and one or two of them, I guess, worked okay. But when I was a kid, what I used to do, I used to collect comic books. Yeah, I was that kid. And I'd have these comic book cards here on the back. It was just basically cardboard would keep the comics in good shape. So what I would do is I'd color photocopy some of my cards, and I would enlarge them and sell them for $10 each. And the color photocopying cost like $5 way back then, last century. I am that old. I was 13 years old or whatever it was. So the cops can't come after me. And I was protected under Canada's Young Offenders Act anyway, if you're under 18. But this is one of my first businesses. So I enlarged this. And this card, by the way, if it was in perfect condition, which it's not, this card would be worth over $100,000 if it was in perfect condition. I was such an idiot at that age. I used this card and other cards in my bike, so it sounded like I had a motorbike in the spokes. But anyway, that's the that's the most Canadian bookshelf ever. Let me put back Wayne Gretzky, and I just put these on my wall. That's why the tape's there. And I've got a couple more actually over there. I've got Don Mattingly up there and Fred McGriff, who's called Crime Dog. He's the best. He played for the Jays, and Don Mattingly, that's a Don Russ 84 rookie card. He played for the Yankees. All right. Let's get back to the next question here. All right. Next question, and it's killing me, dude, that Wayne Gretzky is not centered a bit. I'm trying not to be perfect, but I have to do it. Okay, much better. Much better, yeah. You know, Salvador Dali once said, if you strive for perfection, you'll never achieve it. I believe that. I believe that, yeah. Especially when it comes to social media stuff. Just get your content out there. Yeah. All right. Next question is, have you ever watched The Undertaker? I've not, sorry. But I'll copy that right here. And then I will check it out. Thank you. Next question is, are global depositary receipts a good way of investing in an MNC, multinational corporation? Yeah. So I don't really give advice on specific investment classes. I believe my role. Great question though. I believe my role is to teach people how to fish instead of providing them with a fish. But if you want, you can sign up for my MBA degree program, and I'll teach you more about fishing. And also you can take my complete financial analyst training course. Go to my website to see all my Udemy coupons and coupons for my stuff as well. Yeah, thank you. My website's HarounEducation.com. All right, next one is Joao. Joao, how are you doing? You said bonjour, Chris. Oh no, it's French. Shoot, I'm in trouble now. Bonjour, Chris. J'espère que tu vas bien. Je vais bien, merci. Je veux faire le grasse matinée ce matin. That means I want to sleep. I want to sleep in, and I didn't have time to eat my petit déjeuner. That's breakfast. By the way, it's called small lunch, petit déjeuner. Anyway, great to have you. Okay, thank God. The rest of this question's in English. Sorry for butchering my French, everybody. Yeah. Thanks for your answer on and tips regarding diversified portfolio and investing in different sectors as well as internationally. My pleasure. And then you wrote here, Joao wrote, I just applied to your Platinum MBA program. Awesome. Thank you. And can't wait to expand on my business knowledge. Thanks for all you do. Be blessed. Thank you. God bless you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. And for those of you wondering what Joao, and I only teach in English, what Joao is referring to, if you go to my my website, HarounEducation.com, I have an MBA degree program. There's actually 3 different versions of it. And let me explain what that means. So if you go to my website and go to MBA program, and then you go to pricing and FAQs, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove myself so you can see what's under me for a second here. Give me a second. There we go. Here we go. Good. Yeah, so there's 3 different versions of the MBA degree program. There's a ton of FAQs here as well you guys can read. this version here, which is the one that the New York Post, the Financial Post, Mashable, and about 20 other newspapers started selling yesterday. This one here is called the Silver Degree Program. And this one is over 300 hours of lessons. And by the way I made this here is I didn't do any coding. It was awesome. I paid like $8 a month for this plugin from this company here called Elfsight Apps. It's awesome. And you just throw in one line of JavaScript and it works. Anyone can do it. So there's a silver version, which is over 300 hours of lessons. All of them have a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee, and you can start today. And it's when it's all said and done, it's going to be over 400 hours. Learn at your own pace. Take your time. You can do it within 6 or 7 months, or you can get the MBA degree from my company, Haroun Education Ventures, within a couple of years. Take it as quickly or as slowly as you want. Now, the gold version is exactly what the silver version is, but there's more, which is this. There's over 200 hours of live Q&A that I do with a handful of students, and it's great. It's great, and we record it and we put it up on the website so that people that have taken that gold version will always have access to that forever. Okay, now the platinum version is everything I just mentioned about gold. It's this price here, and then there's also several hours of one-on-one meetings with me, either in person or over Zoom. And one thing I want to say is that silver you can start today if you want to. And if you buy silver today, and if you're accepted to the gold or platinum version, then you can upgrade and get a big discount, obviously. Now, the gold and platinum versions, I actually teach them live, right? Where I play a lesson and I spend several hours doing Q&A. And I teach it in 2 different time zones. I teach it Mondays and Tuesdays. Time zone 1 is 9 a.m. to noon, and time zone 2 is 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So I have, in my first MBA degree program, I have 150 full-time platinum degree students right now. 2 of them asked for the money back, and they got it. But I have students from 41 different countries. And so this program, it starts every December. So the next one here, the one that you applied for, Joao, and thank you, I appreciate it. It starts December 20th. And if you're curious about the admission deadlines, they're here. So August 15th is the gold and platinum early admissions application deadline. And you can just go through the rest of the FAQs here if you're interested. And you can also click here if you're curious about student testimonials. I have a lot of wonderful students from all over the world. And you can call any one of these or contact any of them over LinkedIn. They'd be happy to talk to you. We got a lot of countries represented: South Korea, Germany, Pakistan, Australia, United Kingdom, Philippines, etc. 41 countries, including Canada. So you can check these out if you want to, and then go to their LinkedIn profiles and just contact them. They're more than happy to talk to you. Obviously, they don't get compensated at all. It's just I think they're happy with the quality of the product so far. So yeah, and their family. I'm going to miss them dearly when this degree is done. Yeah. All right. Okay, and then Manas wrote, "I'm sorry if I'm irritating you by writing lots of questions, but I wait for your webcast patiently, so forgive me." No, Manas, no worries at all, buddy. Thank you. And thank you for all your social media posts. I think I retweeted one of them in Twitter and LinkedIn. Thank you. I appreciate that. God bless you. And a lot of people will ask questions 12 hours before the call starts. They'll put it here in YouTube. The problem with doing that is that they get deleted. So the earliest you can do is like 3 or 4 hours before, and then I'll see them. And so I see all your wonderful questions here at MNS. Thank you. All right. All right. Okay, next. Oh, goodness, there's more French from somebody else now. Manas is saying, bonjour, comment allez-vous? Très bien, merci. Et vous? Pendant cette situation aux États-Unis. How's the situation in the United States? I'll answer this in English. Yeah. So things are rough here and rough globally, obviously, with COVID. But to add to that, there's this awful situation we're going through, this terrible racist event that occurred from this bastard police officer. And all 4 police officers, I think, have been charged now that were involved in that situation in Minnesota. And there's been a lot of protesting, as you all know. And there's actually curfew here. I'm not allowed to... My kids and I were not allowed to go outdoors here in Northern California after 8:30. In LA, it's worse. In Southern California, it's after 6 p.m. So, and there's been a lot of looting. Now, I think that the bulk of the looting, if not all of it, is not done by people that are protesting. A lot of people that are protesting, it's peaceful. I see a lot of the videos on TikTok. That's the best way to keep up to date in this stuff, by the way, because everybody is a journalist, and a lot of people are taking videos of what's going on. I believe the looting is occurring by other people, and the problem is that you can wear masks now. It's awful. Like, if you think about it before, like a lot of stores that you even walk into, like banks, for example, you're not allowed to wear hats or hoodies, I should say, or masks, of course. So it's tough to find people that commit a lot of these crimes. Because of it's brutal. It's brutal. So we're in a terrible situation. I really hope that the National Guard doesn't have to be called in, and I don't want a wartime president, man. I don't want us to lose our rights. So God willing, and I pray daily for this. God willing, we all get through this peacefully. Yeah. And my kids were asking me about the Rodney King incident, which occurred back in the early 90s in Los Angeles, when somebody videotaped 4 or 5 bastard white police officers beating up an African American. And what happened after that was there was 55 deaths. And it wasn't as covered media-wise as it's being covered today, because people didn't have cameras on their cell phones back then. If you want real updates on what it's like from ground zero, or from people that are peacefully protesting, then just download the TikTok app, please, and check it out. And I see tons and tons of videos every day. They're short videos, a minute each, of what it's really, really like. And a lot of the demonstrations that I see are peaceful, but there's 1 or 2 people that I don't think are representative of the loving people with love in their hearts that they're protesting. And what I've seen over and over again using the TikTok app is situations, and this is brutal, where there'll be a lot of peaceful protesters, and then a truck or a car will try to get through, but there's too many people in the streets. And then somebody yells at the car, or vice versa, and the car runs over at least one person. It's happening over and over and over again. And that's why I think that if you're going to do this, protesting, and I think everybody should, just be careful. Like, avoid roads, just stay on the sidewalk, whatnot. Things are rough. But again, I don't want a wartime president. And I always try to not be political, but I think a cure for the coronavirus might be coming this November. I hope. Yeah. Read between the lines. All right. Hopefully. I was doing last night? I didn't vote for Obama or Trump. I'm a Republican usually. I grew up loving Ronald Reagan as a kid, and then I came here. I was like, dude, I can't vote Republican, so I'm a libertarian. I'm kind of in the middle, and I go back and forth. But I was looking up last night I couldn't sleep, and I was looking up on Wikipedia and searching the web for, can a president run 3 times, like Obama, for example? Of course, the answer is no. We know that. And then I searched for, can a president that's already been president for 2 terms be a vice president? And I think it's allowed. And so I think it would be awesome if Biden found a way to get Obama as his vice president. If it's legal. I think it is. Yeah. And Obama released a wonderful video. I watched it yesterday, kind of telling people to just be careful, and the message that they're sending is great and all that stuff. But anyway, a little bit off topic. I was thinking about that. I don't know if he'd do it, because then a lot of people would kind of respect the vice, or look up to the vice president more so than the president. Yeah. I wish Bernie Sanders was running. I wouldn't vote for him, but I love Larry David, and Larry David does the best Bernie impression ever. And by the way, if anybody's bored in the house at home still, which is all of us, a lot of us, if you can, just watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah, there's one funny, and for those of you not familiar with Curb Your Enthusiasm, it's basically Seinfeld. So Seinfeld was written by Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld back in the 90s. And all of the R-rated or M-rated Seinfelds episodes that couldn't be released were it's basically now Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is, they've had 10 seasons, 100 episodes, 10 per season. It's hysterical. And oh my God, I'm going there again. There is one There's one episode this year in Curb Your Enthusiasm season 10 where, and I know I'm getting a lot of down likes now from Republicans. That's fine. It is what it is. I don't care. But there's one episode where Larry David, he didn't want to meet with somebody. He didn't want the meeting to be too long. And so he wore a MAGA hat. Make America Great. It's kind of funny. Larry David's funny. Yeah. All right. I probably lost a lot of viewers there, but that's okay. All right. Next question is, what are the 5 basic things I need for recording my course on Udemy? Yeah. So I would say a camera, which you have, audio, which you have in your camera, okay, your cell phone. And then I would also say lights. Okay. So that's 2 things. It's called the camera with the audio in it for now. And when you want to upgrade a better audio, I recommend getting a Blue Yeti. Okay. So what you also need are lights, and not just lights that you have in your room at home. You got to get slightly nicer lights if you can. And I don't know if I can show you with this angle here. I'll try. Hold on a second. Yeah. So I've got a bunch of lights set up here. The 2 most important ones, it's tough to see, but you can kind of see them right there and there. You need to have a light on each side. And then a backlight behind you. Now, when I recorded my first 20 or so Udemy courses, the light behind me was just it was a lamp, an old lamp that I took off, and I put it behind me, so I had this 3D pop as I stood several feet in front of the wall. You don't want shadows to be cast on the wall. Then you need a fill light and then a key light. And the key light it's kind of like the sun. It's slightly brighter. The sun's brighter than anything else. And the fill light is a little bit less bright on this side. And they outside, you'll see people, and maybe you had this with yearbook photos, somebody holding up that big reflective thing. Okay, that's the second light. It's the fill light. Now, you can actually go online and buy lights from a company called Westcott Basics, which is what I did to start. And I'll show you them here. Hey, Jim. Amazon Westcott Basics. I love how Amazon corrects my spelling. Yeah. Let's go here. Let's go here to 40-in-1 reflector kits. Yeah, that's not what we want. So we go to Westcott Basics. And I think it costs about $100 for lights. Here it is here. Yeah. Oh, man. Bastards jacking up. I hate when this is happening. People are jacking up their prices. Even Wirecast, which is a software product I'm using right now, they jacked up their prices once COVID came. It makes me sick. I actually gave away, I'm humbled to say, I'm proud to say, I gave away 1 million courses for my students in the month of March. And I had to hire more people to answer all those questions. I gave away for free, but it was the right thing to do. Because if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. But this here is the one, okay? You can get a hell of a lot cheaper than this. Screw you, Westcott, or whoever this is, for jacking the price up at a time when they shouldn't be jacking up the price. But this is the type of thing I'm talking about. It's around $100, maybe slightly more than $100. You get a light on each side. And what you can do actually is, if you get those lights, you can make one side a bit brighter than the other, just to create this kind of, I don't know, a different look and feel. And I was watching Martin Scorsese's masterclass, and I really learned a heck of a lot from what he was saying on directing and stuff. He's more sophisticated than I am. But I looked at the lighting a lot, what he did, right? And so I have this light here. So you see how one side of my face I can make a little bit less bright, or the other side. You can do that if you want. Obviously, that's too dark. But having a slight shadow on one side, it makes it a little bit more interesting and different. And then when it comes to lights behind you, like the lights here, the color ones, I use a product called Great Video Maker. Which is it's called GVM Lights, Great Video Maker, and it's a great company based here in San Francisco. And here's one here, GVM. It's tough to see. Great Video Maker, and I've got one over here as well. These are the bigger ones. I have a bunch of smaller ones here as well, where there's a dial on the back, and you can change the colors as well. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, but I think you have pretty much everything you need to start making an online course. And if you want, what you can do during this weekly call is you can show me just samples of your videos, and I can provide my humble feedback on how to make it better. Students in my Platinum MBA degree program A lot of them are making online courses as part of their side hustle, and I'm humbled to say I've helped them out a bit with their backdrops and all that stuff. And I'm teaching this from scratch in my MBA degree program as well, to build an army of one, using what you have to make an incredible backdrop. It's cheaper than you think to get it. Okay, my best camera actually is my cheapest one, because I know how to use it better. Yeah, it's a little bit bright, I think. Hold on. Yeah. All right. Next up is how can you gather general knowledge for the technology sector without starting a job in that sector? Yeah, it's a great question. So in 2002, there's a senator named Eliot Spitzer in New York, and he created what's called Regulation FD. FD stands for Fair Disclosure. And he did the right thing. It was a good thing he did. He did a lot of bad things in life, but this was one of the good ones. Google that if you want, whatever. But what he did was he basically made it law so that you and I, as individual investors, doesn't matter where we live in the world, we get access to the same information at the same time that the large mutual funds and hedge funds do. That's a great thing. That means that anytime a company reports earnings, which is usually every 3 months, unless you're in Japan, it's every 6 months, but in most countries, every 3 months. When a company reports earnings, you can actually listen to their webcast live, and you can get access to all the financial documents at the same time that all these mutual fund and hedge fund and wealthy investors get them. It didn't used to be like that, but the playing field has been leveled. And so the way to do research on stocks, just take my complete financial analyst course on Udemy, or go to my website for a coupon, or join me in my MBA degree program. I teach you much, much more. But what you can do is you can actually go and download all the documents for a company's annual report, et cetera. And it's a lot easier to do than you think. Now, big companies have investor relations departments, okay? And their job, type of Apple, I guess, they'll correct me. There you go. So their job is to educate and help you and I as investors or potential investors. And they help us understand the financial statements better. So you can search for investor relations and whatever company it is you're doing research on. And you can go here and read a ton of documents that they provide. Okay, financial documents, et cetera, annual reports, listen to previous webcasts, that sort of thing. And a lot of companies every year, the big ones, will have what's called an analyst day. And it's usually in a hotel in a big city, and it's 5 hours long. And the CEO talks for an hour, CFO talks for an hour, they take questions for a couple hours, they show a couple new products, et cetera. And you can get access to that live as well, or record it on investor relations pages, and that will help you tremendously. What I also recommend you do is I recommend you read the annual report. It's called the 10K. And the 10K is released once a year. It's the annual report. And they release another document called the 10Q, which is released every quarter, which just has an update on how the quarter went. And by law, and there's lots of lawyers involved in these things, which is a good thing, I guess. By law, they have to disclose all material risks. So you can read them here, risk factors, for example. And you can get all the financial statements in here as well. It's amazing. Now, you can also go to a website in the United States called sec.gov, gov for government, of course. And you can actually search for company filings. And you can search by ticker here or by company here. So let's do Apple, just to be consistent. All right. And what you can do is you can get access to all of Apple's financial documents here for free. It's amazing. And this is distracting me. I turn my iPhone over, sorry. An 8K means a press release with important stuff like earnings. And a 10Q, as we know, is a quarterly report. Then you've got insider selling and these other reports. And then the 10K, which is down here, is the annual report. So if we click here and we go to the annual report for Apple, wrong one, sorry, right here, yeah. What you can do is you can read it here. And for a lot of companies now, what sec.gov is doing, it's actually a great website. They've done a great job, and it's free. What you can do is you can go and look at the financial statements. and actually download them here as well. On a lot of these websites, you can click and download. Okay, so here we've got products, services for Apple. And if you want to actually, and I can't see that link to download it right here. Usually you can. But there's another website you can use as well, which all the people on Wall Street love using now, called BAMSEC, BAMSEC. And if you enter in the ticker here, and you can get a free trial, and I think it's $30 a month after that. You can click on any report here, and then what you can do is you can actually download the financials directly into Excel from here. So let me go select financial data here. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So you click download here. You see here? And it downloads into an XLSX format down here. So you can now open it up directly in Excel if you wanted to. And the good thing is that this means you don't have to go and manually enter in all the data. And it's actually not text fields. These are numeric fields as well. Makes your life a lot easier. So that one is called BAMSEC. You can also go to the annual shareholder meeting for any company. That's the best way to meet CEOs. So if you work in sales and you want to get access to a CEO, which is the key decision maker, of course, for your product or service you're trying to sell, go to the annual shareholder events. I go to them all the time. And what happens is hardly anybody is there except a bunch of, old investors like me, I guess. Then they give you bad coffee at their headquarters or hotel, whatever. And then when it's over, that annual shareholder meeting is over, what happens is the CEO does not leave until everybody else leaves, because the CEO wants to set a great example to other C-level executives that are around, meaning CFO, CMO, COO, etc. And so you can go up to the CEO and talk to her or him for a long time. And they want to try to set an example. And also the board is there sometimes too, and other big shareholders sometimes. So they kind of want to show that, hey, we're talking to everybody here. So corner the CEO, talk to the CEO, and ask them for a follow-up meeting, or ask them about selling your product to them. And if they tell you the name of, if they're like, well, I don't know, talk to Joanne Smith in the products group. Well, email Joanne Smith then in the product group and say, I met with your CEO and he recommended that I reach out to you for yada. You guys get the idea. You guys get the idea. So those are just a handful of ways to do due diligence on companies. You can take my MBA degree program, or you can take my complete financial analyst training course for more details on this. Thank you. All right. Next question is, you're on TikTok. Do you post vlogs or is it just for fun? Yeah. So I have a vlog daily that hits YouTube. Just search for my name on YouTube and you can subscribe if you want. I told my students about a year and a half, 2 years ago, when I started doing this weekly call, office hours call, that I would vlog every day for 10 years. So I'm on day 675 today. So if you're having problems sleeping, go to my YouTube channel and you can watch my vlogs there. Yeah. And YouTube is the only gold rush in history where it costs you nothing to make the product. And YouTube is also the only gold rush in history where you can get access to billions of potential customers for free. And so I think we're going to look back upon this time in history and look at this as the golden era of YouTube content creation. And a lot of people are going to look back and say, I wish I created more YouTube videos. Anybody can do it. It's free. I'm happy to teach you how. I've got a course also you can get from my website and on Udemy called the Complete YouTube Course. So check it out if you want to as well. All right. Next question is, and if I miss anybody in the middle, just paste it again, please. Ray is asking, how do you keep an eye on your decade, annual, quarterly, monthly, and weekly goals? Yeah, it's a great question. So here's what I do. I really believe if you write down your goals, the probability of them coming true goes up materially. So I write down my goals every day, every weekday that is. Okay. So I use this right here. And this is just a daily one-pager I created for my MBA degree students, which I gave it to them in PDF format, OneNote format, LibreOffice format, speaking of all the French questions today, as well as Microsoft PowerPoint format, and many other formats too. And I fill this out daily on weekdays. And I write down my goals here as well. And I also have a deadline date for my goals. I have to put in brackets. Because if you don't set a deadline date for your goals, they'll never come true. And in fact, most people give up on their New Year's resolutions by the third week of January. Most people, almost everybody, because they didn't set a deadline date, a goal. And so what you have to do is you've got to set a deadline date for your goals, and you got to tell people about your goals too, because it'll put pressure on you. And I say it with love in my heart, it'll put pressure on you to get it done. So, for example, for me, I told a lot of people years ago I was writing a book, and every time I saw them, they're like, "How's that book coming along?" I'm like, "Oh, damn, I got to write it now." Set a deadline date. A goal without a deadline date is a dream and nothing more. So you got to set a deadline date, and you got to vocalize your goal too, and tell people about it. So like I told a lot of my students, I'm going to vlog every day for the next 10 years. Now I have to do it. I also told my students, and this is going to make me look like an idiot, but that's okay. I'm already an idiot. You know that. This is a fake. I'm a fraud. Okay. But my goal, and I said this about a year and a half to 2 years ago on my weekly webcast. My goal is in 10 years, which means 8 years now, is to get one of these things for best business documentary that also makes the world a better place. I'm trying to figure out all this camera stuff. I've made plenty of mistakes, you know. Michael Jordan said, I failed over and over and over again. That's why I succeed. I'm not at the succeed part yet. I'm still at the fail part, but I'm learning. But that's my goal. And by the way, this is interesting, but this is an exact replica. It's 13.5 pounds. I'm weak. It's 13.5 inches tall as well. And there's actually 5 circles here, which represents the 5 original branches of the academy. Directing, producing, acting, all that stuff. There's so much that goes into these movies, and making online videos too. So anyway, that's my goal. I've got 8 or 8.5 years now to make it come true. But you got to set a deadline date. You got to do it. And I actually have a version of this. So this is the premium version of this, which you get in my MBA degree program. But I actually have a trimmed down version as well, which you can get on my website for free. And I don't ask for your email and stuff here, but let's go there together. So let's go to Haroun, education.com/schedule, all lowercase, schedule. Okay. And what you'll see is right here, you can download a PowerPoint file. And this is, again, kind of a slimmed down version, a non-premium version of this schedule product thing I made. And so this one's kind of old, but you can download it today if you want to. Leave me alone, Microsoft. Okay. And then you can enter in all your goals here throughout the day. You can customize this completely. And so this is my older one, you can tell because I list courses here I've already published. But what I do is I schedule my days every day before I go to bed, weekdays only. And what I do, it's usually around 9 o'clock. I schedule the next day. And I schedule in time for family the next day as well. Like family time for dinner for 4 hours, which means 2 hours. I schedule time for the gym, and I work out every day with my son, Andrew, actually in the garage. It's a lot of fun. And below my feet here, I've actually got, a treadmill, which I'll show you in a second. I like to work while I exercise. And what I do is I schedule the next day, and I write down my goals as well with deadline dates. And then at the end of the day, what I do is before I write the next day's version of this, I score myself. And it's very subjective. And again, we're all quite different. And what I do is I'll take off 10% for every meeting I didn't attend or stuff I didn't do right. Or if I didn't get 20,000 steps, which, means 10,000, of course. I'll take off points as well. If I didn't put God first and pray, it's the most important thing to me. I'll take off a lot of points. Same thing with family, diet. We're all different though, right? And then just personal goals. Wash my face twice a day. Otherwise, it's a disaster. Yes. Anyway, and I score myself here out of 100%. And then I write the day number. So my record is over 30 days in a row doing this. And so if you start today, it's day 1, and tomorrow's day 2, whatever. And you can leave this form printed out in a nice little case right by your sink. So it's the first thing you see every morning and the last thing you see every single night. And I promise you it works. Again, I have a premium version of it, this version here, which you can get if you take my MBA degree program. Go to my website, please, HarounEducation.com to learn more if you're interested. Yeah. So, yeah. All right, let's go back here. Where was I? Wirecast. Where are you, Wirecast? Here you are. I missed you, buddy. Okay. And this software product I'm using is called Wirecast. But what you can also do is you can use a version of this product that's free, which is just as good, called OBS. And that stands for Open Broadcast Software. Do a search. You can download it for every platform, pretty much. And you can look at all these versions of me here. I feel like I'm watching that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that scene with that little guy dancing. I'm the little guy dancing here. All right, so as promised, I'll show you my desk here and how I exercise during the day. So, and I do this sometimes, actually a lot of times when I write my courses. So I throw my chair here aside, and then I've got, where is it here? Tread nothing. Then I can raise the desk up here. Okay, let me make sure. Good, yeah, whoops, yeah. I raise the desk up here. And then what I do is I could start walking. And so the name of this product, and I'm never comped at all, it's called FitBill Walk. FITBILL. It's cheap because there's no rails on the side. I don't need rails on the side. And this desk is called a Fully desk, FULLY. Okay. And let me just start. Click start here. 3, 2, 1, go. It's like Mario Kart. Yeah. And then I could speed it up as well. And I bought these desks for my employees as well, before COVID even, because they work from home and I want to take care of them. I want them to be happy and whistle while they work. And so this is what I do. And I have a little bike unit as well. It's like $120, whatever, that I use as a cycle underneath. But this is much better. And I can get my steps in as well. And I actually wear, and this is crazy, you're going to think I'm nuts, but that's okay. I put my Apple Watch down here sometimes so I can actually count steps when I'm walking. Otherwise, it doesn't work that well. But that's what I do. Anyway, I take my steps this way and get stuff done. It's the only way for me to get in, my 10 or 20,000 steps a day, which means 10,000, of course. So let me just turn this off, and then I will lower my desk here. It's pretty cool, huh? If you get this, something like this, if you can, I promise you your productivity will go through the roof. All right. I am a nerd, I know, but I'm a happy nerd. All right, we move on. And I'll click the pedals to get back to the main view here. Here we go. How you doing? All right. Next up, and it's great. I've got air conditioning here as well because it gets hot in here when I exercise and work at the same time. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Manas is saying, Je pense, donc je suis. Vous acceptez? That means I think, therefore I am. I agree. It's like the Rodin sculpture. I think, therefore I am. Perception becomes reality. Or as Henry Ford said, whether or not you think you can do it, you're right. So, je pense, donc je suis. I agree. Thank you. All right. Next up, Manas is saying, I'm really sorry. I always mention you in my tweets, even today. But you're like a mentor friend to me. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. No, not at all. Please. I'm grateful and humbled to be a part of this. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Next up, your networking matching equation is awesome. Do you have more of such theories and equations? Yeah. So I created this concept called an NME. It sounds like the word enemy. And NME stands for, it's called networking matching equation. And it's basically, so there's something called the matching principle that we study in psychology, which is a lot of times, really good looking people date really good looking people. But sometimes you'll notice that somebody is not that great looking and their significant other is incredibly good looking. And the reason why is because the person that is not that great looking thinks that they are. Perception becomes reality. Just like Manas said, je pense donc je suis. I think, therefore I am. And so the network, the NME formula or network matching equation basically gets you not only on this level with this much better looking person or business person or whatever it is. Okay, you can use this in all walks of life, but actually sets you ahead of them. And it works as follows. You think to yourself, nobody is smarter than you, like Steve Jobs said, and I believe that. I believe that so hardly, so much that I actually licensed that video from the brilliant man, John, that created it. Search my YouTube channel for Steve Jobs, you'll see it. So you think no one's smarter than you, brings you up here. And by the way, the best job, the most important thing a parent can do or a teacher is to teach or instill in their students or kids a sense of confidence, because with confidence, you can do everything. Then you convince yourself that you're just as, I don't know, you're just as good looking as everybody else. The potential for you is so much more than everybody else. Not telling you to be arrogant, but just be confident. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, your enemy network matching equation is now at a big surplus. So it's out of balance. So je pense donc je suis, as Manas wrote here. I think therefore I am. Yeah. Yeah. And I do have a bunch of other things like that I've created, just acronyms here and there. I'll show you one actually. Yeah. So I also taught, and this is just, by the way, get posters made up if you can on your walls. You can get them done online, and they're not as expensive as you think. And if a poster like this motivates you to reach your full potential in life, it's the best investment you can make. But Michael Jordan said, I failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. Love this guy. And he actually did not make his high school basketball team either. Yeah. But speaking of other things, I have this thing I created when you're thinking about making presentations called Cider. These are my Cider House rules. Cider, when you're making a presentation or doing a webcast or whatever it is, you need to have Cider, which is you need to be convincing, interesting, different, edutaining, and everything you say has to be relevant. And when it comes to relevant, I call it the so what test, because Miles Davis has a great song called So What. Anyway. All right. But I do have a lot more as well. I teach in my MBA degree program. Yeah. I got to figure out a better chair system. One wheel's a little bit longer on the side of this treadmill, but yeah. All right. Next up, do you support what's going on in the United States? I hope you're all safe and happy. I support peaceful protesting, of course. And again, I mentioned this earlier. I think that a lot of the looting that's going on is not done by the people that are protesting. It's an excuse for people to get out and start looting, and it's tough to catch them because they're wearing these masks for obvious reasons. So I don't support any sort of military intervention, like bringing in the National Guard. I don't believe in dictatorships. I think that hopefully it all gets handled at a state level, and that the federal government does not have to get involved. And I think that, like, if you get a chance, watch Obama's speech, which was wonderful. I saw it the other day. And he's kind of even saying it should be at more of a city-based support level. Like he kind of outlined how mayors should run their cities and all that sort of thing. Yeah. And I think I'm happy that people are speaking up. And that's a wonderful thing about America, is your voice can be heard. However, I'm adamantly against any sort of measure to quell or not allow social media outlets to let people opine on their thoughts. I'm very much against that. I believe in freedom of information. I'm a libertarian. So I'm happy people are speaking up. They should be. But I think, again, a lot of the looters are not people that are involved in these peaceful marches. Yeah. All right. Manas wrote, thank you for your answers. God bless you all. Thank you. And God bless you much more. And thanks for all those emojis. Those are dope. People still say dope, or is it groovy? Those are groovy. Thanks. Yeah. Okay, next question is, Rishab is saying, What is the future of price comparing websites, which compare other e-commerce websites based on price, quality, etc.? Yeah. So eBay bought this company years ago called Red Label, I think it was, and Home Depot bought a similar company. And basically, there's so many apps out there now where you can actually go into a store and you can scan the barcode to see if you can get a cheaper price. And you should all do this all the time. Like whenever I go to Best Buy, for example, to buy consumer electronics stuff, like The Last of Us Part 2 is coming out soon. I can't wait. I'm excited. It's a great video game. Part 1 was awesome. But whenever I go into a store like Best Buy, a big one at least, a big box retailer, sometimes I'll use that scanning app, but a lot of times I'll just do a search on Amazon. And if the price is lower on Amazon, I'll show the person at the front desk. And the person at the front desk says no, or they're not sure, then ask really nicely to speak to the manager. If you want anything in life, you got to ask. Always, always, always. Yeah. So anyway, that's how I do price comparison. What I also do is I've got this great plugin that many of you use for Chrome in your browser called Honey. And eBay or PayPal used to be owned by eBay. PayPal bought Honey for $4 billion recently. And it's an amazing plugin. It doesn't create viruses and stuff. It's the only plugin you should use aside from an ad blocking plugin. But whenever you check out on Chrome and you're buying something, right before you check out, the Honey app will show up. And it's sweet. What it will say is, you can get this. Here's a coupon you can use to get 30% off. Would you like to apply it? Hells yeah. I apply it all the time. So it's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And so I think that when it comes to price comparison, apps in general or services, I think you're still going to have plenty of these barcode scanners, but I think the best way to do it for comparison shopping, or at least for coupons, at least, is to get that Honey app. Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, a lot of people don't realize this. And I was talking to my MBA degree students about this recently when I talked about 132 ways for them to save money. But if you buy something in a store and you keep the receipt, and then a couple days later or a week later, whatever, it goes on sale, you can take that receipt to the store, and in most cases, they'll credit you for the difference because a company is only as good as its customer service. Okay. And Albus is saying, hi, Chris. Thanks for the webcast. My pleasure. Thanks for joining us today. I have a business quiz competition coming up. Any ideas on how I can prepare effectively? I have limited time left. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So I would, and then you wrote here, and your courses are awesome and so comprehensive. Can't thank you enough. My pleasure, Albus. Thank you. So I'm going to teach you a trick right now that's going to help you do much, much better on tests and quizzes without reading the question. So when you take a test, specifically multiple choice, I want you to think like a lawyer. I can't stand lawyers except for civil rights lawyers. I love you, but you have to think like a lawyer. And the reason you have to think like a lawyer when you're writing a test is because what lawyers do, and they're paid to do, and it drives me crazy, is they look for exceptions. So if one of the multiple choice questions was this microphone that Chris is speaking to is always black. Well, wait a second. If I look closely, maybe it's a different shade of gray. It's not always black. You see how I sound like a lawyer? Drive myself crazy here. So whenever you hear the word always or never, those answers are always wrong. Okay. The answers that are usually right are ones that are wishy-washy. Like this. Some people that look at this microphone believe that it might be black. That's true. So you want to eliminate answers like that. And the ones that are wishy-washy from a Venn diagram perspective, maybe to include something, those are usually right because they can be contested, or they can't be contested by a lawyer. So that's what you got to think like. And I learned this actually also because of contracts. I have a ton of contracts. I've signed a ton of legal documents with the many companies I started over the years. And when I read through them, it drives me crazy, but it's written in a certain way on purpose. May or may not is used all the time, sometimes, but not always. So you kind of learn to think like a lawyer. Yeah. And the only good thing about going to law school, aside from being a civil rights lawyer, which means I love you, the only good thing is that you learn about contracts and contract negotiations too. Yeah. And I remember I wanted to be a lawyer years ago, and I was reading all the John Grisham books, and I read this great book by Scott Turow, who wrote Presumed Innocent. But the book I read of his was called 1L, which is about someone's first year at Harvard Law School. And I went down, I visited Harvard Law and all these other schools. And I remember A Few Good Men was the movie du jour at the time. You Can't Handle the Truth. And I was inspired by Tom Cruise in that movie. And I started sitting in on classes at law schools, and I was bored to tears. And earmuffs time, I'm sorry. I thought to myself, are you an asshole before you go to law school, or do they teach you that in law school? And I was bored to tears. I was really bored. And so I followed my heart and did technology stuff and eventually teaching, which is what I love doing. Yeah. So hopefully that helps you with when it comes time to writing quizzes in general. In terms of how to study skills wise, the best thing you can do is study in the first hour of every day if you work full time. And that's what I did with the GMAT years ago, whatever, when I learned actually how to take tests. Get up an hour early, because that 1 hour of studying in the morning is worth more than 10 hours at night. You want to be fresh. Also, this is out there, but this is what I do and have done for decades. If I have to read something and I'm starting to fade mentally later in the day, like around 4 o'clock, I'll do it and I'll work on my elliptical trainer in my garage, or on this, as I showed you, this treadmill I have under my desk. Why? Well, because the elliptical trainer, and I put my iPad or my MacBook there, and I'll work. Elliptical trainer works out every muscle group in your body. It's like cross-country skiing, and I bought a nice used one in my garage. And when you exercise, what's happening, and I'm a biohacker. I love to hack and figure out how my body can be more efficient with everything I consume. But when you work out, you're actually giving your brain more oxygen, which makes you fresh, and you can absorb a lot more. So I only recommend studying or working later in the day, or reading stuff on an elliptical trainer or a walker or a bike, whatever it is at home if you can. Yeah. So anyway, those are my humble thoughts. All right. And best of luck on the quiz. And if I didn't answer your question correctly, as always, please let me know. And thank you kindly. Yeah. All right. These are my kids, actually. Let me show you. These are Andrew, Matthew, and Dylan. Yeah. They're like kids to me, like sons. Just kidding. I love them. Andrew, Matthew, Dylan. And the sad statistic is that by the time your kids are 12 years old, you've already spent 90% of the time you'll ever spend with them. So savor every second. And as awful as this COVID crisis has been, and I pray daily that it ends fast, the bright side has been I've got to bond. He's 16 now, with my 16-year-old. And I'm enjoying that more than anything ever. Yeah. So, and we work out together in the garage. And by the way, if you want to keep your kids out of trouble, buy a gym if you can, or some weights in the garage, and work out with your kids as well. Right? Win, 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 win. Yeah. All right. A lot of people have asked me if I play the drums because of this. I don't. It's just a prop. Okay. I'm digging this blue behind me here, man. I think I'll do blue from now on. I think when I do green other colors, it makes me look kind of weird. And yeah, I like this. Yeah, it's cool. And somebody asked earlier about that clock I have up there. The reason I have that clock there, that timer, is because like every Thursday, what I do, my schedule is I've got from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. is this general call for the general public. Then 11:15 to 1:15 p.m. is the weekly for MBA degree students only, meaning the platinum gold, MBA degree students only office hours. And then I have a lot of one-on-ones with my students every Thursday. And so they're 20 minutes each. And so I'll do the timer this way. And actually, I pull it down as well so they can see it in the screen on all camera angles. But if you're curious why I have that, that's why. All right, there we go. All right. Next up is Melody Johnson, who's a wonderful teacher. It lives in Atlanta, and she's just made a couple of Udemy courses she's about to post, and she's almost done with her book as well, which is awesome. It's inspiring. And thank you, Melody, for the comment you left on that New York Post article about my MBA degree on LinkedIn. Appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate the support. Melody wrote, "Hi, Chris. I'm so sorry about last week. I lost everything from my project. But the good news is I found some backup footage, so I had to start over. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's happened to me before as well. I'm so paranoid about losing stuff. Like what I'll do sometimes when I'm working on a document that's really important, for a backup, I'll actually just email myself and I'll attach it just in case. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that you lost. You wrote the good news is you found some backup footage, so you had to start over. Yeah. And you wrote, at first I was upset about this, but the course is way better than what I made before. So I'm uploading stuff like crazy. Excellent. And I always I like to change the view or perception by which I see the world. And so with crisis, or when something bad happens to me, within reason, I ask myself, what's positive about this? With crisis comes opportunity. So what would be positive about that event is the quality is probably a heck of a lot better the second time you did it. Yeah. And it's happened to me before where I record 6 hours of brand new content every week for my MBA degree students. And I have backup, lots of camera angles just in case. But it's so damn soul crushing when your main camera, your A camera goes down or you forgot to hit the record button. I'm with you. I've made every mistake there is. Okay. And you wrote here, question. Can you upload 2 videos to 1 lecture in Udemy? I tried to do this, but could not find a way to do this. Now, so the way it works is with most LMS platforms, specifically Udemy, and Udemy is the best. Udemy's Google and everyone else is Bing. But the way it works is there's sections, and then you can put lectures within each section. Okay, so you cannot put 2 videos inside 1 lecture. The maximum length of time for a video is 20 minutes. But you can use your editing software, iMovie or whatever you're using, Final Cut or Premiere Pro, to combine 2 videos. Just make sure it's less than 20 minutes and less than 4 gigabytes as well. Yeah. Next up is, you said, also, I hope that you and your family are staying safe during this time. We are, thank you. We are. I found that aside from masks and gloves and all that stuff, and I left it upstairs, but I have this little, it's called Probel. It's for your fingernails. Out there, I know, but I bite my nails I have since I was a kid. I'll never stop. I'm still a kid. I'm not going to end it. But my sons do it as well. Monkey see, monkey do, I guess. But this special Probel stuff that I put on my nails and their nails as well. It tastes brutal, man. Awful. And so I worry that with my kids and myself that we might touch something and touch your, you know what I mean, bite your nails, whatever it is. So I use that. And I asked my doctor years ago, I said, why is it you aren't sick all the time? I mean, you work in a hospital and everyone's sick around you. And she told me 2 things. Number 1, I never touch my face, ever. And number 2, I wash my hands a lot. So I think if you bite your nails a lot, you're at risk of getting COVID, So get that fingernail polish stuff. And there's lots of different brands. The one I use is called Probel, whatever. I find it helps. And also, Christine, my wife, and I, we decided, and it was our 20th anniversary yesterday, actually. Wow, man. It was 20 years ago today. And speaking of 20 years ago today, for you Beatles fans, I got that album down there, the very bottom there, Sgt. Pepper. Yeah. But we're starting to let our kids do more things now. We've decided that we can't live like this, man. We can't live like this forever. And yes, there has to be a cure, but we can't live our lives this way. So what we do now, and there's curfew at 8:30 imposed here in Northern California, so we can't do this after 8:30 for legal reasons, I guess, whatever. But what we do is we allow our kids to go to our neighbor's house, and our neighbors to come over here. and they can swim in our pool and vice versa. And they can come in our house. However, for now, we only let them come in through a certain door downstairs. We have a video game room. I'm a nerd. Yes, we do have a video game room. I know. And if they come into the video game room to play games, they have to bring their own controllers as well. They have to bring their own controllers. Yeah. So anyway, that's what we do. And I usually carry it. And give me 1 second. Let me see if I go dig them up and I'll show you. Hold on. Yeah, I must have left it upstairs, but I usually in my back pocket, and I thought I'd drop them there by the door. I have disposable gloves and my mask just in case. But I always keep it in my pocket, except for now because I'm an idiot. And if there are a lot of kids around, sometimes it's moronic, but yeah, is what it is. Also, what I'll do is when I open doors, and I've been doing this for years as well, if I'm wearing a shirt, I'll use that to open the handle. I have a wardrobe malfunction today. Yeah, but I'm pretty careful of that stuff. But you gotta, and we still clean all our packages with Lysol spray, whatever it is. But you gotta live, man. I mean, it's ridiculous. It really, really is. Yeah. So anyway, that's what we've done, and things are okay here. Thank goodness we're fine. We pray for the world every day, all of us, my family. Hopefully things get better, but life has to go on. All right, and I hope you and your family, your son and your daughter are doing well as well. Yeah. And Sandra is saying, hi, Chris. Hey, man. Hope you're well. What is your financial net worth? Oh, gosh. A little bit above zero, I guess. Yeah. Okay. It's funny because when you Google your name, you see what comes up next, right? Like Chris Haroun and then the word fraud. I'm just kidding. Maybe I'm not. Just kidding. But I see that Chris Haroun wife or Chris Haroun net worth. It's interesting. Yeah. Slightly more than zero, but not much. Yeah. Okay. And then Kundan is saying, sir, and call me Chris, please. Do you think American companies would be willing to hire a foreign student anymore when the unemployment rate in the United States increased drastically? What's your thoughts on jobs in the future in 1 or 2 years? Yeah. So it's rough. I'm going to show you the best way to get a job. Give me 1 second, please. I'm going to show you this. So yeah, times are tough. And unemployment is brutal. It's starting to stabilize, though. I saw the numbers this morning, claims-wise. But the best way to get a job, you can take my complete job course, which is the only course I have that there's 100% money back guarantee. Go to my website for more details or search me on Udemy, whatever. This book here I wrote, it's a couple hundred pages with several hours of YouTube videos. I promise you, you will get the job of your dreams if you read this free book and you apply the concepts in here. I promise you it works. So in terms of how to get this, what you can do is you can just go to my website, HarounEducation.com, and just scroll down. And here's the book. You can download this for free. So I promise you it'll help. You know, relationships are more important than product knowledge, and your net worth is your network. It's true. And the problem is that when we're younger and we're in school, we think that if we get good grades, the whole world works better for us, our parents are proud, etc. And then something happens. You graduate and you start working at another company. And while you're working at this other company, you work your ass off, you keep your head down, and you look around you, and other people less capable than you are getting raises and promotions, but not you. Why is that? Well, the reason is because you can't just keep your head down and do a good job. If you want to get a promotion or a raise or anything in life, you have to ask, and ask over and over again as well, without being pesky about it. But if you want to get a date, you got to ask. I had to ask 1 billion times, obviously. I wasn't very good at that. My wife's way out of my league. But if you want to get a job, you got to ask. If you want to get anything, you got to ask. You want to get a sale, you got to ask. A lot of rookie salespeople, they go to meetings to sell a product and they don't ask for the sale. It's crazy. I don't get it. It is what it is. But if you want anything in life, you got to ask and read this networking book. Again, you can get it from my website, harouneducation.com, for free. I promise you it'll help you out significantly to get any job with any company. That's right. And I have a course called the Complete Job Course. And it's the only course I have with a lifetime guarantee. My other courses are a 30-day money-back guarantee. But I guarantee you, you will get the job of your dreams, no matter what. And I teach you in that course how to turn your biggest weaknesses into your biggest strengths as well. Check it out. All right. And give me 1 second. I'm going to do a little sound check. You're going to hear an echo, but hold on a second, please. Testing. Hello? Okay, good. Yeah. Because we had I had a technical issue a couple weeks ago where you could hear crackling in the background. All right. Next question is Neil, who's saying, good morning, Chris. Good morning, Neil. My question is it all right to have an environment of fun when giving an investment banking interview? When giving. Yeah, okay, so you work at an investment bank and you're giving an interview. I don't see why not. I mean, and by the way, whenever you're in an interview and you're being interviewed yourself, if in the last 10 minutes or so of the interview, the person interviewing you starts to say good things about the company, that means they like you and you're going to make it to the next round. So stop selling at that point. Otherwise, you'll sell past the close. But I don't think there's anything wrong in general, Neil, to talk about a fun work environment. It's basically the nature of most companies here in the Bay Area. You know, there's ping pong tables, foosball tables, video games, and all that stuff in a lot of these offices, Nerf guns, whatever. And it's just they're fun places to work. And if they're fun places to work, people will spend more time at work and be more productive. And their heart will be into it, because if this is not into it, this is not going to work effectively. So I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. Now, investment banking it's kind of a stodgy old industry where it hasn't really kept up with, I don't know, like technology companies are fun to work at. And they keep changing their offices and making it more fun, putting games in and stuff and fun conference rooms. But yeah, like boardrooms are for suits. But what I recommend doing is, you could say it's a fun environment. We have a great group. And if you don't have tables or ping pong tables or foosball tables there, you can say, if true, we have a lot of fun in our culture. You know, we have each other's backs and we really enjoy coming to work. And we don't see it as a job, we see it as a passion. And that's important when it comes to investment banking, because the hours can be long. It's incredibly rewarding if you as a team, if you and your team can execute perfectly. And we have fun doing it as well. Nothing wrong with saying that, yeah. Especially if you're trying to convince somebody to join your firm, yeah. Okay, Niam2 is saying, Kundan, if you convince them that you're worth the effort, of course they will hire you. Oh, from an earlier question, yeah, I agree. Yeah, and whenever you go to these interviews, you have to add value as well and help them. So there's this great book called Give and Take. And it basically stipulates that the poorest 1% of people in the world, the people with beautiful souls, my heroes, like Mother Teresa, they give. And the middle 98% of people in the world, they take. And the top 1% of people in the world by net worth, by wealth, are givers. They give. And they give with their heart too. And that's why they're successful, man. You know, yeah, there are some jerks that have made a lot of money and been unethical along the way. But for the most part, a lot of the very successful people I know are very nice. And they've always wanted to help others. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. Give and you will receive. You know, some people call it karma. Some people call it karma synchronicity. Call it what you will. The bottom line is that if you give from your heart and you help other people, good things will happen in the long run. But you got to give because you want to give. You want to help. You know, you just want to do it. And like mentor people. Seek mentoring yourself, but mentor others, because when one teaches, two learn. So give your time, help others. And I promise you, I guarantee it, in the long run, you'll be better off. Like a lot of my successes in business, whatever, humbly, have come because I've helped other people. I didn't want anything in return, but I helped somebody, and then they'll call me years later and say, Chris, I've made it, and thank you. I remember you helped me, and here's a business opportunity, or whatever it is. But I didn't do it for those reasons. Give and you will receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. Next up is Melody from Atlanta, Georgia. She's a teacher as well, who said, what is your favorite seasoning to use? Oh, I love it. I've been stuck on this Greek dressing called Opa. OPA. I like that. It sounds very Greek. All in caps too. Opa. And it is so good. It's like dill. Oh, I love dill. I love dill. I put a lot of dill in my salads now too. You wrote here, it's good when you have a taste for tzatziki sauce, but you don't have it. Oh, I love it. We buy a lot of tzatziki as well. My wife is, her mother's Greek, right? And so actually her last name, my wife's mother's maiden name is Triandafilides, which is Greek for 30 flowers. And that used to be our password for our American Express. And so when I would have problems with my Amex, they would say, what's your password? And I'd say, Triandafilides. And they'd say, can you spell that? And then I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I can't spell that. Kill me now. Yeah. But my favorite spice actually is amazing. Okay, so I love bagels, but I don't eat them that often because they're high in carbs, which of course makes you gain weight and all that stuff. But I love everything bagels. And so there's this place here in America called Trader Joe's, which is owned by a great big German company. And at Trader Joe's, they sell this special spice, which is amazing. They have them there in Atlanta as well. It's called Everything But the Bagel Spice. And I put it on avocado, which has no carbs. I put this on it, and it's so good. Let me actually show you what it looks like. This might be the most important thing I talk about today. Sorry for all the transitions there. All right, so let's go here to Trader Joe's, everything but the bagel. And I put this on my salads every night. Oh my God, it's so good. Here it is here. Yeah. It's a lot cheaper in this here, but for some reason it's that price there. Here's what it looks like. It's everything but the bagel. It's the best. I love it. So try it out, please. And I'll try out the Opa Greek dressing that you mentioned as well. And thanks. I love Greek food. It's great. My favorite food, though, is Indian food. You haven't lived until you've tried to eat dosa. Most people have never, like people go to Indian restaurants in America, for example, or Canada, and I never see dosa on the menu. You see tandoori chicken and all other great stuff. But dosa is the best food ever. And it's so good. It's kind of like the first time you had a Krispy Kreme donut fresh out of the oven. That's what dosa is times a billion. Times a billion. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. All right. Next question is, I remember you mentioning that you use a type of coffee concealer under the eyes. That's right. Yeah. To clear up dark circles. Can you share with us which one it is? I need to purchase this ASAP. Yeah. So yeah, what Melody is referring to is there's this thing I put under my eyes if I'm tired. Like this morning, I was exhausted. I didn't get much sleep last night, but I'm happy and I feel great. And it's caffeine, and it's in this little roller ball, and you put it under your eyes. And let me see if I can remember that. Give me 1 second. Under eye, it's called. Yeah, I'll show you here on Amazon. All right, let me go here to Amazon. Let me make sure I am not in private mode. Hold on a second. New window. Yeah, good. All right, so let's go here to Amazon, and we'll go to my orders, and I will search for under eyes. Let's see here. No. God, it's a roller product. I can't remember. It's orange. It's killing me. I can't. Oh, here it is. Here. Yeah. Good. All right. So it's called, and I've been using this for a couple of years now. You can see here. It's called L'Oréal Paris Men Expert Hydra Energetic Anti-Fatigue Ice Cold. Oh my God, it's the longest name ever. The bottom line is this: it's got vitamin C and caffeine in it. Okay, and what that does here is you put it under your eyes. Right, it's just liquid, whatever. It dries pretty fast, and it gets rid of those lines under the eyes, or a lot of them at least. Yeah. So anyway, that's the product. I highly recommend it. I don't get compensated for ever mentioning this stuff, but anyway, that's what I use. Yeah. All right, let's go here. All right, next question is and I recommend doing. Oh, one more thing I want to show you also is well, two things actually. Let me see if I can find the other one. Yeah. So this product here, it's called Throat 37. I feel like I'm in the Truman Show here. It's called Throat 37. And opera singers use it, and professional singers, one of which I'm not. But whenever you're like, because I talk a lot when I'm in general, but also when I'm teaching. And so sometimes I lose my voice. And this thing, it's called Throat 37. If you just spray it in your mouth once, it basically clears up your throat immediately. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's called Throat 37. Check it out, especially if you have an interview or an important meeting at work or a Zoom call, whatever it is, or you're giving a presentation. Keep this handy just in case, if there's a frog in your throat. I don't know why they call it frog in your throat. Maybe because you sound like a frog when you're tired. I don't know. Another product is this one here from my little sister, Elizabeth. Now, I biohack a lot. Okay. And obviously talk to your doctor first before you experiment with stuff. But whenever I'm feeling sick, and this is controversial and this just works for me, do your research first. Whenever I'm starting to feel sick, I take this thing called, that means I'm getting old. I have to go like that. My dad used to read his RIM device, reach emotion device, BlackBerry. He'd always go like this. And I was like, Dad, put it close to your face. You'll see it better. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, though. It's called colloidal silver. That was me buying time. Colloidal silver. And when I'm starting to feel sick or getting sick, again, do your own research, talk to your doctor. I take this and I don't get sick. You know, it works for me. Hopefully it works for you as well. I believe in medicine, but also I think that there's an arrogance from a lot of doctors that they think they know the cures for everything. And they don't always have your best interest in mind. Yes, they love you and they want to help you, but nobody's going to care more about your own body than yourself. So do your own research, hack a little bit if you want to, read up on everything first, please. Because I think you can live a much longer and happier life if you do your own research on biohacking and what substances, good substances, you can take that make you sharp, so to speak, and happy. You know, so for me, I in my coffee every morning, I actually do, I try to keep it the right temperature. I actually do a bulletproof coffee, and and this is out there, here I go. No filter as always. I put a tablespoon of grass-fed organic butter in my coffee. And people have been doing this for hundreds of years. And it gives you this insane ability to focus and concentrate, like Bradley Cooper in that movie Limitless, for example. It works for me. We're all different. The DNA sub-factor of our essence and who we are is different. Everyone's different. This biohacking works for me. Yeah. And I'm always looking to push the goalpost out. I'm always looking for continuous improvement. Always, always, always. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Getting a bit shiny here. This is why people wear makeup when they're in front of cameras, because the lights are brutally light. Yeah. And I'm going bald up here, so I have my hair a bit longer here, so I'm kind of, yeah. All right. And everybody should look at illnesses, research it, illnesses that your older relatives have or had, because there's a good chance you're going to get the same ones. And try to see if you can use foods and other substances to nip it in the bud so that you do not get those illnesses later in life. So I had my DNA sequence years ago. And basically, there's a 47% chance that I'm going to get age-related macular degeneration, which means my eyesight is going to go down to nothing in my 60s. And my grandfather had it as well. And so what I do is I take this. I went to my doctor. My doctor had me see an eye specialist. My eyes are fine. But I actually, the eye doctor basically gave me this substance. He told me about it. It's over the counter. I'm not going to give you the exact brand name. You can do your own research. But it's a relatively benign organic zinc pill that I take every day. And it's like that movie Minority Report. Great movie with Steven Spielberg and Tom Cruise in 2002, where they were able to decipher, it's science fiction, what crimes people were going to commit later in life. And by the same token, I was able to decipher by my DNA sequence what illnesses I will likely get later in life, so that I can be preemptive and proactive through medication or whatever it is, food or different beverages, to make sure it doesn't happen to me. And you got to make sure you understand other illnesses people have in your family. Like for me, it's cholesterol. Like I eat extraordinarily healthy. And my first meal today is just greatest hits of antioxidants here. But no matter what I do with my diet, I still have insanely high cholesterol. I've tried everything. I tried red rice yeast. I've tried every product possible. And then I finally gave in. And I take, and my doctor prescribed it, talk to your doctor. I take 10 milligrams daily of something called simvastatin. And basically what happens with cholesterol, and you want to make sure that you get your blood tested and go see the doctor to see if you have it, is cholesterol basically blocks veins from allowing blood to get to your heart. And you can get a heart attack and die. And if you have high cholesterol, I believe in medication for it. That's just me personally. And so I take simvastatin, 10 milligrams daily. Side effect, though, is it can hurt your liver if you drink. And I don't drink anyway. So, yeah. But you want to find out, bottom line is, what illnesses people in your family have. Because, it's genetic. You might have it as well. Yeah. Next question is, should one work harder to improve on areas that they're weak at, or simply further refine the things they excel at, using the idea of a competitive or comparative advantage? Advice for a 20-year-old. Yeah, that's a great point. So if you fear something, I want you to run towards it. If you're scared of public speaking, I want you to run towards it. Run towards your fear. Conquer your fear. And condition yourself to love it, to love your fear. For me, for years, I was terrified of public speaking. I'd rather die than give a speech. And eventually I said, enough is enough. I've got to conquer this fear right now. It's holding me back in my career. It's holding me back. And so what I did was this. I thought, how can I learn about public speaking and helping others? And also helping, making the world a better place if I can possibly. And so what I did was I volunteered through my church, and this is not a religious thing, but I volunteered through my church to go in, and I got a special police badge. They did a background check on me, and they didn't find all the stuff I did wrong, whatever. Just kidding, sort of, not really. I went on Sundays in Redwood City, California, into what's called the McGuire Correctional Facility. And it's a prison. And I always want to help those people that have deadbeat fathers. And I don't believe there's such thing as a deadbeat mother. And so there's a lot of younger men there that I helped out, and I counseled them and whatnot. And I went one week, and one week the priest didn't show up. Again, this is not a religious thing. And so the warden of the jail said, Haroun? Yeah. Father Michael's not here, whatever it is. You gotta conduct mass. I'm like, I can't do that. I'm not like, I'm a Eucharistic minister, whatever, but I can't do that. And he said, it's not hard. Here's a pamphlet, read it. I was like, oh, okay, fine. And so I went into the prison system, and I had to go through a number of different security checks. And when you go through one door, there's another door in front of you, and you have to look up at a camera and wave, and then they'll lock this door automatically and unlock the other one. And so I went up to the middle floor. There's 3 floors there. The top floor is called Choices, which is the easiest one. And you can actually get promoted to that floor if you're an inmate for good behavior. But I was sent to the middle floor that day, which is kind of scary. And so I walked in, and there was 30 men in their orange jumpsuits. And there's certain colors they don't let you wear when you go into prison to do what I'm doing for obvious reasons. But they're in their orange jumpsuits. And there's 30 of them in the room. And they're sitting like this, right? Like, and they had tattoos everywhere. One guy had FU tattoo written here. It was intimidating, man. And so I got up there, and I was reading just the pamphlet, whatever. And then the way it works with church, or with priests, rabbis, whatever, in most religions, is you read a passage from the text. It can be the Torah, the Quran, the Bible, and then what you do is you're supposed to get up and give a speech about that text you just read. And so what happens is priests, for example, they spend all week long writing the sermon. And so I read from the text, it was the gospel or whatever it was, on and it was about hope. And then I had to give a speech. I was like, oh my God, I have 30 inmates staring at me. I'm standing up there. And by the way, when you're standing up there and you feel nervous, you never look nervous and you never sound nervous. You just feel it. But I got up there and I said to myself, I got to conquer this fear right now. I mean, this is really, really holding me back. It's terrible. And so what I did was I went up there and I was supposed to talk about hope. And so I said to the inmates, and I conquered my fear this way. I said to the inmates, do you believe in God? And they were like, yeah. And I said, does God believe in you? And they're like, yeah. And then I said, if you don't believe in yourself, then you might have to question your faith. And then I noticed that people, like the inmates, they stopped crossing their arms. And I looked around, they're like, That was the moment for me, the strategic inflection point, so to speak, when I conquered my fear. And there's no more intimidating place in the world. I kind of felt like Johnny Cash playing, in the prisons, whatever, his concerts. And he has great albums on that too, by the way, which outsold the Beatles in the late 60s. But I conquered my fear that way. And I want you to run to your fear as well. I want you to run to your fear and embrace it and enjoy it to the extent that it's now your biggest sense of joy. The same thing with accounting. And the way I teach accounting is in a very fun visual way. I was intimidated by accounting for years, man. When I went to McGill University, it was 1991, and it was summer vacation. And I called up MARS, M-A-R-S, McGill Automated Registration Service, to find out my grades. And it was an automated voice, this woman's voice, and said, your grade in accounting is D, ha, ha, ha. She didn't laugh, but you know what I mean. And I thought my life was over. And I got a D in accounting because I was memorizing stuff like formulas in accounting. And you can do well in high school by memorizing stuff. But when you get to university, you have to understand stuff. So I got a D. And you're thinking, Chris, you're a hypocrite. How the hell are you teaching us about accounting? Because I failed. And I learned that you have to understand equations and accounting and finance and enjoy it. And now I'm humbled to say, I love reading financial statements, and I can teach you how to read them too, like a good book. And so what I do is I have a lot of props, like back here, and I'll show you. This is going to be messy, but let me show you here. All right. So when I teach with a ton of props. Let me just move this out of the way. Give me 1 second. And I enjoy it. Like, I love teaching. It's actually a lot of fun. So, for example, I was explaining to my students, let me first of all do this. Okay. This is stuff I have. Okay. I have a car. I have money. Not much. And over here this is who owns my stuff. A bank. That's a cushion there. Pig. And then this is me. Okay. This is an old scale from China I got on eBay. It's not in perfect condition, as you can tell. And I'm an idiot. I don't know how to use it. And this here is me. Okay. And this is Arya Stark, by the way, from Game of Thrones. Awesome. So, stuff I have right here, okay, is equal to, let me turn this around. I burned this in, had fun doing this. Stuff I have is equal to who owns my stuff, meaning a bank or me. And it has to balance. It has to balance. This is a balance sheet. That's how I explain it. So everything is owned by either you or a bank or somebody else. Okay. So these here are assets. Okay. And these here assets have to equal liabilities plus equity. Okay. So this car and this money is stuff I have. Who owns this? Well, me, equity, plus a bank. Here's an example. Okay. So it has to balance perfectly. So let's say that my only possession I have, forget about cash, is a car, and it costs $100. Okay, that's what I have. It's an asset. Okay. Well, who owns that $100 car? Let's say I own 50 bucks of it and the other 50 bucks is from the Bank of Toyota. So assets of a $100 car has to equal liabilities, meaning debt of 50 bucks from the bank and 50 bucks from me, meaning equity. Assets equals liabilities plus equity. Whenever you hear the word equity, it means ownership. What do I own? Okay. Whenever you hear the word liabilities, it means debt. What do I owe? So again, assets is stuff I have. Okay. So basically, yeah, stuff I have and who owns my stuff. And that's basically the same thing as saying assets equals liabilities plus equity. And if you rearrange this formula, it makes a lot of sense as well, because we know assets equals liability plus equity. So what is equity then? Equity is just assets minus liabilities. Equity means your worth, your net worth. So your net worth is assets minus liabilities, which makes sense. But anyway, I got a D in accounting. If I took shop class, I get a D in that as well. But anyway, that's how I teach. And it's a heck of a lot of fun too. Let me put this back here. Ugh. All right. But I love using props when I teach. It's kind of like show and tell. Like, remember when you were younger? Do you remember? Okay, you remember in class when you were younger and you were in show, there was somebody brought in an object for show and tell. Do you remember that? Do you remember the object they used? You do. Do you remember what your teacher taught you? No. But you remember the object. So I love to teach based on edutainment. I like to make it fun as well. And I wear my heart on my sleeve because that's my license plate for my car here in California. It says edutain. Yeah. So I practice what I preach. Yeah. But you got to run to your fear always, whether it's accounting or public speaking, whatever it is. Run to your fear, conquer it, and enjoy it, and condition yourself to enjoy it. Kind of like you condition yourself to think that you don't like food that's bad for you, right? So Tony Robbins, who I met a couple times, nice guy, he actually invested in one of my companies, but Tony Robbins talks about pain and pleasure. And if you can think of everything in life as pain and pleasure, you'll be more happy. For example, if there's a chocolate cake in front of me, if I eat it, I'll feel this much pleasure, but in the long run, I'll have this much pain because I'll gain weight, my skin won't look great, etc. And I kind of use that with my methodology of teaching finance when it comes to risk reward. I always look at the risk. Hopefully it's a little bit of downside, and the upside is the reward, risk reward. So, and I cover that in my finance classes as well in my MBA degree program. Yeah. All right. And then last thing I'll say about, you mentioned areas to improve upon, just like do what you're passionate about. Do what you love doing. And as Confucius said, you'll never have a job for the rest of your life. And probably can't see it, but you will in a second. There's a blue poster on that side there. It's getting cut off right now with my wire, but I'll leave this angle on so you can read it with me. It's a great quote by Mark Twain. Drum roll. I'm building up to it here. And Mark Twain, he's a great poet in America. And he said the coldest winter he ever spent was the summer in San Francisco. But he also said the two most important days in your life are number one, the day you're born. And then number two, the day you find out why. What's your why? What are you passionate about? Do what you love doing. And don't listen to anybody else. You know, this is your life and nobody else's, not your parents or anybody else's. It's yours. Do what you love doing. And I promise you, if you chase your dreams and you're willing to fail a couple times and not give a damn what people think, if you chase your dreams, what will happen is your dreams will come true and the money will follow accidentally. The cancer of money is that if you chase money, you'll lose your money and your dreams. It's true. Follow your heart. Follow your heart. And take that risk. I don't care how old or young you are. If you always wanted to go into a certain profession, start today, man. Make it a side hustle until it takes off and then say sayonara to your boss. See ya, but I wouldn't want to be ya. And just leave and do your own thing. Like, I don't understand why there's no 70-year-old rock star out there. You know, if somebody played in a garage band in their 20s and they're 70 now, what are you waiting for? You'll be the first rock star to make it at 70 then. Just make it happen. Otherwise, the worst thing happens to you in life, which is this. This is really depressing. The worst thing that can happen to you is you wake up one day and you work for this jerk that pays you this much money to make their dreams become a reality. I want you to start today. Enough is enough. Start living your life on your own terms. Sign up for my MBA degree program, and I guarantee you, I will help you to redefine yourself and your career so you can start your own company or make that career change and reach your full potential in life. The question is, should one work harder to improve on areas they're weak at, or simply further refine the things they excel at? Oh, I read that question twice now. Dude, that's what happens, man. You get senior moments. The older I get, the better I was. Sorry about that. The next question is, hi, Chris. You said new traders shouldn't short companies somewhere in one of your courses, but all of your portfolios were balanced between longs and shorts. It depends what course you took, yeah. So how does a new trader balance his portfolio? Yeah. So a brand new trader, or first of all, I don't want you to call yourself a trader because you cannot make money longer term by trading. And there's not a single person in the world that's been successful at trading. Otherwise, we know their names. What are their names? They don't exist. They don't exist. You got to think long term. Otherwise, if you trade, what happens, it's like going to a casino. You know, each month has 20 week days, which means 20 days the market's open. And random stuff can happen that makes your stocks go up and down. You'll get fooled by randomness, like geopolitical events or saber rattling between two political leaders can make stocks go up or down. You can't control it. Or another stock in the sector, not the one you own, but another similar stock, will report positive or negative news, which will drag down your stock or vice versa. You cannot control that. You got to be very, very long-term focused. Now, when it comes to shorting, I don't recommend doing it until you've invested for years and years and years, because what people don't realize is when you buy a stock, the most you can lose is the amount of money you put into that stock. When you short a stock, which is the opposite of buying a stock, hypothetically speaking, you can lose everything because it can go up forever. So just be careful. I recommend buying puts initially, but if you're incredibly sophisticated and confident with your skills when it comes to investing, and if you've done your own research, then you can consider shorting. But make sure, and I think you're talking about my hedge fund course or a complete financial analyst training course, make sure that you do, as I show you in that course, you fill out those templates, those one-page templates at least. Okay, they analyze the fundamentals, valuation, and technicals last before you consider investing. Yeah. Thanks for the question. Okay, next one is from Matthew, who writes, Chris, you're doing great work. Thank you. Question, you're always insistent on networking. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. This is my networking book, of course. I'm just kidding. It's free. Yeah. You wrote, you're always insistent on networking, but how to deal with people who don't accept the invitation or extend their support regarding their expertise. So make sure you take my complete job course or sign up for my MBA degree program, because I will show you how to create the best LinkedIn profile on the planet so that when you reach out to people over LinkedIn, they accept your meetings. Now, I'm humbled to say that 95% of all of my LinkedIn meeting requests or in-mails, I get meetings or responses. I don't say that to impress you. Rather, I say it to impress upon you the fact that you can do it. Anybody can do it. Apply the methodologies I teach you, please, in my complete job course. I promise you it'll work. But you also have to be like Teflon, right? You got to be willing to just brush it off when you fail. If you perceive somebody not responding as being a failure, which I don't really, but you'll never get ahead in life unless you fail many, 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 many times. You know, if I told you, like J.K. Rowling, 30 publishers roughly said no to her Harry Potter books. They said no. And she hated her life. She was an assistant, a single mother, poor thing, and she wasn't happy. 30 said no. And like the 31st or whatever it is, said yes. Now she's a multi-billionaire. You got to be willing to fail a lot like that. A lot. Okay. I promise you it'll work. Just keep at it. You will get responses and you will get these meetings. Just keep at it. Keep at it. Please. It's interesting because when I used to teach, like I used to work full-time in venture capital, and then during the nights I would teach, and I loved it, at a bunch of universities, business and MBA stuff. And the very first class, I would always say to my students, I'd say, if I told you that over the next 10 weeks in this course, if I told you that if you did 10 informational meetings, one every week, that you would get the job of your dreams, would you do it? And all 70 hands would go up. Then on the very last day, right before the final exam, which was always easy, and I used to get criticized for grade inflation by Tom Thomas, my boss, every semester. He'd say, Chris, I see serious grade inflation here. Nice guy. And I always responded, but this is the best class I ever had. But on the final day before the final exam, I would ask, how many people did those 10 meetings? No hands would go up. How many did 9 meetings? No hands. How many did 8? Maybe 1 or 2 hands. And those students that put up their hands were never the ones that got the best grades, but they're always the ones that got the best jobs. Alrighty, next question is from Sai. Hey, Sai. Sai is saying, hi, Chris. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I'm doing my MBA now. I want to get into finance, but have no relevant experience. Can my engineering thesis project on energy conservation get on my resume for that job? Yeah. So what I would say is this. In Silicon Valley, we say here it's easier for an engineer to learn finance than it is for a finance person to learn engineering. I think your background is amazing. But what I would do is I would network aggressively. Network aggressively with alumni from that school or whatever it is, or people you have something in common with. Take my complete job or sign up for my MBA degree program, and I'll teach you how. I'll give you one-on-one coaching as well, help you with your LinkedIn profile if you sign up for the platinum version of my MBA degree. You can go to harouneducation.com to learn more. And actually, a bunch of people that are taking my first platinum degree version, we have 158 people in the platinum 1-year course where I teach live. A bunch of them already have MBAs from great schools. And they've told me, I can humbly say, they've learned a lot more from just the first semester of stuff I've taught than they did from their entire MBAs. Yeah. Next question is, why does Udemy prices go up and then come down low? If someone buys high price, next time when they log in, they see the price is down to $20, and you feel, yeah. So they run their own pricing strategy. They're much more sophisticated than I am. Udemy has, people think of Udemy as just an education company, but there's so much more. They're the quintessential big data marketing and advertising platform as well. They figured out how to cost effectively market their courses globally and turn a profit. Not just for investors and for the company itself, but also for the teachers on the platform. Yeah. So they have their own algorithms and pricing changes every now and then. But it's like buying anything else. If you walk into a store one day and you buy a product, and then, on Black Friday, it goes on sale. It's just the way business works. There are sales all the time. Prices change all the time. So, yeah. And you wrote here, can we recreate your MBA degree certificate? If I made example template sent to you, can you consider changing it? No, sorry, I can't. I think you're talking about the course, entire MBA in one course. But if you take my MBA degree program, I'll show you what the certificate looks like right now, actually. So let me actually go here. See if I can use the pedals properly this time. All right, so I'll show you what the degree looks like. So let's go here. So just go with me here, please. Go to, and I'll go into incognito mode, just so it has me logged out. Go with me to learn.harounventures.com. Again, that's learn.harounventures.com. And when you're here, here's my courses. All of them have 30-day money-back guarantee, whatever. But if you click here on this, my MBA degree program right here, I can actually show you what it looks like, the degree. So if you scroll down here, and I have a lot of testimonials from my students here, and you can go to LinkedIn profiles and contact any one of these, please, and ask them what they think of the program. Yeah, from all over the world, Germany, etc. Yeah. But if you scroll down and you click here on this one here, okay, what to expect from our journey, and you click here on preview, it'll show you what the degree looks like. So let me just get myself out of the way here, and I'll show you. Welcome to the MBA degree program. Hold on one second. I'm really excited about this journey we're going to go on together. This is going to be a lot of fun. And so by the time that we're finished with this Welcome to the MBA degree program. I'm really excited about this journey we're going to go on together. This is going to be a lot of fun. And so by the time that we're finished with this program, you can order one of these degrees for your wall if you want to, directly from the manufacturer. I'm not going to make any money off of this. Or what you can do is you can get a nice leather-bound version of the degree as well. So let me put this back up on the wall so we can begin. Thank you. Now, for every single class that we have, there's going to be a different workbook. And I created the workbook in 3 different formats, Microsoft Word, as well as Google Docs and PDF. And the contents of those 3 documents are identical. Okay, and so let me show you what they look like. Now, this degree program is going to be very interactive. You're going to be completing a lot of exercises during class. And I want you to learn during class instead of spending a lot of time doing homework. There will be some homework, but not too much. So with every single class that we have, there's going to be a workbook that's in 3 different formats: Microsoft Word, PDF, and Google Docs. And the contents are identical in those 3 different formats. And you can take this MBA degree program on a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, an Android device, or an iOS device if you want to. So let's go through what these workbooks look like. So what I'll do first is I will show you the PDF version, which is right here on the screen. And if you're going to use Adobe Reader for this, please click this link here and get the Adobe Acrobat Reader and not the Pro version. I don't want you to pay for any software. And so the reason I recommend getting the Adobe Reader, if you want to use the PDF version, is that there's a lot of advanced functionality that I included, JavaScript-wise, etc. That's nerd talk, sorry, within these documents. For example, if I click here, we go to topic 1. And then you can type text here if you want, notes within the class. And you'll see that if you type a lot of text, a vertical scroll bar appears. Okay. And it's pretty intuitive. I'll let you navigate through this yourself if you want to. And I've also provided you with hyperlinks at the bottom of most pages as well. And so the way that these documents work is the first page is usually a high-level overview of what we're going to talk about in that class with relevant hyperlinks, as well as high-level summary of that entire class. And then homework. And homework is always the last page of all of these workbooks. You can click this here and it'll take you directly to homework. And there's a lot of hyperlinks in here. I had a lot of fun putting it together. Okay, so that's the PDF version. Now let me show you the Microsoft Word version very quickly. So it's very similar. It's actually identical, and there's hyperlinks here as well. Okay, and the last version I want to show you is the. All right, give me 1 second. Thanks. Sorry, I took a quick break there. So thanks for your patience. And if anybody has questions about the MBA degree program, let me know. And you can go through, and I usually include about 10 or 20% of the lectures for free in all my courses. So just click through it to see if it's helpful to you at all. And if you have questions at all, please let me know. This is the place to do it. Thanks. Okay. Edwin is saying, hello, Chris. How can I make my online marketing so effective? Yeah. So I have a course called the Complete YouTube Course. which I made with one of my students, actually, who I met here on Webcast week number 10. We're on week 93 today. And Sasha Stevenson, she lives in Indonesia, and she has over 100 million YouTube views in her channel. She's a sensation there. So we made a course together. And if you want, you can just go to Udemy and take my complete YouTube course. And that will help you a lot with online marketing. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Next up is Melody is saying, what can you suggest on where I can shoot an amazing video for my course, such as how you did for your short commercials for your business courses? I no longer have access to a classroom. I wish, though. Yeah. So what I recommend doing, give me 1 second, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and get a product that I recommend that you buy to help you with your videos. Okay, so give me a second here. All right. I'm going to show you a low-end product and a higher-end product as well. So just like when you buy a drone, there's only one company to buy it from. It's called DJI. And DJI makes great gimbals as well, these things, okay? And basically, you put your iPhone in here, or your Android device, and then you can just kind of walk around with it, and it stabilizes it. And so what I recommend doing this, and I did this in my complete YouTube course for a lot of the side note lectures, what I recommend doing with it is walking around with it as well, and just make it interactive outdoors. And so when I filmed my my promotional trailer for my complete business plan course, I used this. This is also made by DJI. This one's a little bit more expensive. It's called a Ronin, and I use my DSLR camera. Actually, Melly, the same camera you have. I actually use my Canon M50. I remember we did a webcast together on October 31st when I did a 9.5 hour straight. Remember that call? And you had a Canon M50. I remember that day you mentioned that. So I recorded my promotional trailer using this with my Canon M50 small mirrorless camera. Okay, and actually let me show you what it looks like as well. I'll show you how I made that promotional trailer using this device. Again, anybody else watching, you can get one of these devices and use it with your Android handset or your iPhone, which has quality. It's just as good as any of my cameras when you're outdoors, because light's an issue indoors. So let me actually go and show you what that looks like here. All right, so let's go together here to let's go to my YouTube channel. Right here, and I'll show you what it looks like. Here it is here. Okay, so let me play this for you, and I'll show you, because I used it. I was in Rio. There's a big company called Startse, a venture capital company, that flew me down to give a keynote, and I actually did I recorded this when I was down there anyway. So let me show you what this looks like. Give me a second to get it all set up here, and let's go here into better resolution. It's coming. Oh, play. Failing to plan is planning to fail. Welcome to the Complete Business Plan course. This course will teach you everything you need to know about starting. Okay, I paused it there. I actually used a drone. All this footage I made myself using a drone, DJI drone, and then walking around, I used a gimbal as well, the one I showed you. A business by creating an incredible business plan, even if you have no business experience at all. This course is not based on theory. It's based on my real-life practical experience. I've been investing in companies for many years. I've worked in venture capital. I've sat on many boards. I've invested in many companies. I've started many companies. And I've read hundreds and hundreds of business plans. There are 2 tracks in this course. A fast track if you want to quickly write a business plan, and a detailed track if you want to write a more comprehensive business plan. I created an easy-to-use 13-step process to help you create an incredible business plan covering every single topic any reader of the business plan is looking for. I will be teaching this course in a much more visual, hands-on exercise fashion, so we can make complex business topics easy and fun to learn, and edutaining too, meaning educational and entertaining. The course materials that I put together for you include multiple helpful resources from literally every single country in the world, so that the course and the course content is immediately customized for you based on where you live and based on every single currency in the world. They are all supported. This course and the financial model process that I created can be used for a services or a product-based company, meaning any type of company in any industry. As an added bonus, you can also click here on the presentation slides button, and based on your answers to the many questions in this course, I created a 10-slide presentation deck automatically for you. Many companies fail as they don't write a detailed business plan. This won't be you after you finish this course. This is the most thorough business plan course that has ever been created. And I will also hold a free 3 or more hour webcast every single week for free forever to answer questions that you might have about your business plan that we will create together in this course. This course is for anyone that wants to start a business, anyone that has already started a business, and anyone that works in a large company that wants to start a new business unit. This course is for everyone in every sector that is launching a product-based or a service-based company as well. And creating a successful business plan is the first step in financial independence and extraordinary wealth development. So join me, and together we will create an incredible business plan. There is a 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee. This will be a lot of fun. I'll see you in class. Thanks. All right. So what I did there, Melody, was I recorded it, and you'll hear there you'll hear there's background noise there as well. I didn't care; it was kind of real. I was up there with at the beautiful Jesus statue up the top there, Christ the Redeemer, I think, yeah. And I was just recording like this, holding this, and this thing stabilized it. Now this thing is quite heavy, and what I recommend instead actually is a much cheaper version. This, and this is version 2.0. Of the DJI stabilizer here. But you can actually get version 3, which is a little bit smaller, but they're good enough. And what it does when you turn it on is it stabilizes the video as you take it, so it's not jerky, it doesn't shake. Now, what I also did, and I recommend this product as well, I don't get comp for ever mentioning product, please. But what I also did was, because the quality of the audio is not perfect from all iPhones, whatever, especially when I was outdoors there's noise, I bought this product here. And this is called an H1N. It's really easy to use. And then what you do is you plug in a lavalier. I'll put it here so you can see it. My black shirt is blocking it. And I use this just for backup sound here, just in case this goes down. And you clip this in your shirt. It's hard to see. Nobody sees it. And all people in movies, commercials, whatever, they have one of these hidden under their jacket. And then you hook it up to this. And then you just hit record. You put it in your pocket and you're done. It's amazing. It's amazing, yeah. And the only problem with this device, again, it's called an H1N, which is great. And I've got a higher end version that's called an H6, which is how I do the audio here with an amplifier and all that stuff. The only problem with this H1N device is that you can push a button to stop all the buttons from working so that when you're recording, you put it in your pocket, it doesn't turn off. The only problem is this. You have to put a piece of tape over top of this dial here, okay? And this dial here, it's called the gain dial, kind of like you see on a Blue Yeti or most microphones to make the volume louder or less loud. You gotta cover it up because you can't lock that. And when you crank the sound up too much when you're recording, it destroys your audio and you're done. So whenever you record, you're best to always record slightly lower than you think you should, and then boost it up the volume in post-production. Okay. And if you have any additional questions about that, please let me know. And best of luck with your Udemy courses, and I can't wait to see them when you publish them. Thanks. I know you've been working hard on them. All right. And yeah, and the drone I used, and I think it's just a matter of time until drones are made illegal everywhere, unfortunately, for obvious reasons. But the drone I used was also a DJI drone, and I did all those shots myself. And I was able to get Christ the Redeemer in the background and Sugar Mountain and all that great stuff in Rio, as you saw. But use them when you can, because I think it's only a matter of time till they're outlawed. And in fact, when I went to the Czech Republic in Prague, where I've been there a couple times to record a lot of my trailers with Adad Warda, the best director ever. What they did was they used a drone as well in his production crew. And we found that when I was walking across one of the gorgeous bridges in Prague, a lot of gorgeous bridges. The drone came up and it was supposed to look at me and I was supposed to say, if you take my complete job course, the sky is not even the limit. And it was supposed to fly up. The drone stopped working because it's now law and there's software embedded in all drones that if it goes close to a government building or sometimes a public area, it stops working. I mean, the drone doesn't fall out of the sky. It just won't move. It's like the Iron Curtain or Iron Dome or whatever it's called around Tel Aviv, right? Which is why they've been able to stop a lot of rockets, whatever. It's just kind of like an invisible force field that's been set up. Yeah. And you got to get permits a lot of times before you actually film anywhere outdoors, right? You'll be fine if you use that little gimbal I showed you. But sometimes you have to get permits. Like when I did my promotional trailer for the complete presentation course, and we did it right in front of the Golden Gate Bridge. The issue we had to get a permit first for my film crew. This is out there, but when they were filming me doing it, walking in front of the beautiful Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, we had to keep doing retakes and the left coast here is a little bit weird sometimes, the West Coast, but it was actually, I had no idea, Naked Beach Day by the Golden Gate. It happens every week or something. And so I'm recording this trailer. The film crew is there and the director is saying, move over this way. So I could block the person and all that stuff. And I got to show it to you. Okay, there's not going to be any naked stuff here, but I got to show you this trailer. This is you guys will like this. This is cool, man. This is cool. And I got my son actually involved as well. Let's just go here to yeah. And you will be able to see the naked people if this is out there, but not fully. Okay, just in the distance. It's funny. See if you can check them out here. Here it is. Here. Yeah, we had a lot of fun making this. Give me 1 second. Let me get the audio and everything ready for you. Oh, yeah, here we go. What's that, guess? Sorry. All right, let me go here. Change this over here.
Speech. One speech can change your life. You will learn to love public speaking. One speech. Oh, hey there. One speech can change your life. You can. Oh, hey, I'll be with you in a second, okay? You will learn to love public speaking. Oh, hey, actually, I'm practicing for my speech. Can I rehearse it with you and you can maybe let me know what you think? Okay, thanks. One speech can change your life and touch the hearts of so many people around you, whether you realize it or not. And this assumes you have no public speaking experience at all. No problem. I used to be terrified of public speaking. Much more than you. I'd rather have been here than up there. For example, when I was in business school at Columbia University, as well as during the training program at Goldman Sachs, I asked more questions than my peers did because I was terrified of being put on the spot. But now I feel alive while giving speeches. You know, people might forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. This course is not based on theory. It's based on real practical experience. I've given a TEDx talk, numerous keynote presentations, and graduation speeches in front of hundreds of people. I've given numerous business presentations, and I've been interviewed by many media publications. You will learn to love public speaking on the spot with no preparation. So that one incredible speech can be the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. It's almost impossible to achieve all of your goals in life without learning how to master public speaking. Anyone that's had a significant influence on the world, from Dr. Martin Luther King to Malala, Bill Gates, or Steve Jobs, all had one thing in common. They've all had the ability to communicate with large groups of people. In this course, I will include 25 different templates for every type of speech occasion, from a personal speech at a wedding to a business presentation using Skype. This course will teach you everything there is to know about public speaking. One speech can change your life and the lives of so many people around you. Life all comes down to a few short moments. So how was that?
Guess it was okay, Dad. Can we go home now?
Sure thing, bud. All right, let's go. So I've got to take them home, but I'll see you in class. Thanks. So how was everything? Had a good day?
So that's my son. But I don't know if you guys noticed it there, but on the Bay Bridge, you could see people walking in the background that weren't fully clothed, but it was too far away to really notice. Yeah, so a little out there, but fun nonetheless. Yeah. All right. Next question is, Chris, what do you think could be the possible solution to curtail racism, especially what is unfolding in the United States? Yeah. I mean, I think in general, it's education. Racism is the purest form of ignorance. It's education. So educate people, like a lot of wonderful religions do, to ingrain in our brain from birth that we are all equal. We are all equal. And we're all God's children, and we're all the same. That's what I would say. I think education fixes every problem in the world. I don't believe in sending troops overseas to win wars we can't win or understand. I believe society changes from within. We all hold ourselves and each of us accountable. Watch my TEDx talk on this topic. It's called T Can Fix All Problems, TEA, Technology, Education, and Acceptance. Yeah. Rohit, how are you, man? Rohit, it's been a while, man. So Rohit's one of my wonderful MBA degree students. And Rohit is the reason that we teach in 2 time zones. I teach Monday and Tuesday live for my MBA degree students at 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. For 3 hours each. But we do 9 a.m. because of India, because of Rohit. And we were going to do noon initially. And so everybody in India, which is 20% of my students, should say thank you to Rohit for that. So Rohit, great to have you, buddy. Great to have you. Atul saying, hi, Chris. In India, employees are required to put a percent of salary to a provident fund, which gives a fixed rate return of 8.5% approximately each year compounded annually. Wow, that's great return, man. I didn't know about that. And the amount of interest to be received on the deposit, along with the total accumulated amount, is totally tax-free. Wow. So the real normalized rate's actually way above 8.5%. That's amazing. And then you said, how is that compared to the 401k in the United States? Yeah, I'm surprised about the 8.5%. It's interesting. So when it comes to so the 401k, so all countries, most countries have their own retirement savings program, and it occurs because government want you to save a lot of money so that later on in life when you retire, you're okay and you don't need to rely on the government as much. And so in the United States, it's called a 401k. In Canada, it's called an RRSP, Registered Retirement Savings Program. I almost said RSVP. Every country has them. And what happens is every country you're allowed to invest a certain amount every year in this tax shelter. And so in the United States, I think it's $18,500 per person or something like that. And so you can put that much money in that tax shelter and it grows tax-free for many, many years. And then when you retire, you get older, whatever, then you can take the money out and then you get taxed. And it's great because if you got taxed along the way, it wouldn't grow as much. And you can also get a commensurate or similar program for educational savings accounts in most countries, meaning saving for your kids' education the second they're born. You can grow that money tax-free. Now, in the United States, there's no guaranteed return. I've never heard of that before, actually. There's no guaranteed return. It's up to you in terms of what you want to invest in your 401k, so to speak. Yeah. Okay. Next up is Edwin, who's saying, hello, Chris. What would you recommend for living with fear? My daughter doesn't like to sit in the house alone. She doesn't sleep alone. Yeah. No, thanks for the question. It's interesting. And I remember with my kids and my little sisters too, we always had a night light on, always. Yeah. And with my youngest one, we actually, I leave the door open with him and the lights on. And we always say, and this probably makes him feel good, every night we say prayers before we go to bed, every single night. And whenever they worry about something, I always tell my kids, don't worry. God already knows what's going to happen. And that should put you at ease. Okay. Next up, question is, what are 5 things I can do today to increase my net worth 20 years from now? It's a great question. So number 1 is save as much money as you can every year in your retirement savings program. Always max out. And if you work at a company and they pay you on a bi-weekly basis, whatever it is, have that money automatically deducted so it's out of sight, out of mind. And it grows tax-free for many, many years. Number 2 is as early as you can, and it takes us all longer, some of us, but as early as you can, buy a house or an apartment, because that might be the best investment you ever make. If you rent for $600 a month and you decide to buy instead, you'll be worth millions more in the long run. And probably the best way to explain compound interest and that sort of thing is to open up Excel with you here. Let's go here to Excel. There we go. New. All right. So I'm going to introduce you to the time value of money. All right. So I'm going to do this in a slightly different way as well. Make sure we're still recording. Good. So there's something called the present value. And that's how much money you have today. So let's say that you have $600. Then there's, you have to look at the interest rate, and this will all make sense to you in a minute. And let's pretend the interest rate is 9.5%, and the average return on the stock market longer term is 9.5%. Okay. Then we've got time, meaning number of years. Okay. And then you've got here the future value. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to name these cells here. Okay. And I'm going to call this one present dot value. Okay. I'm going to call this cell here interest. This is fun. Rate. This here, I'm going to call this time in years, because I think time is a reserve word. And this one here, I'll call this future value. Okay, great. Awesome. So basically, and let's call this 50 years. So if I want to calculate what $600 is worth in 50 years at an interest rate of 9.5%, here's what I do. It equals the present value here, okay, times, open brackets, 1 plus the interest rate, where's the chapeau, to the power of time. Okay, nicely color-coded. Great. So if I were to put aside $600 today, just $600, I would have this much in the future. Okay, and very small changes in your spending habits can make you a fortune in the long run. Absolute fortune. Let me go and get actually. I had an Excel spreadsheet I created for my students, and actually, you guys can download this with me. Okay, let's go here together. So go to HarounEducation.com. Okay, whoops. Haroun Education. Good. Haroun Education. And there's lots of ways to type my web address. It all gets forwarded. But HarounEducation.com/FA2-1. Okay. This means Finance and Accounting Semester 2, Class 1. This is what I taught my students recently. And I want you to click here to download this. Okay, so again, go to lowercase HarounEducation.com/FA-2-1 and download this with me. Okay. And this is just one of the classes I taught, I think it was last week or the week before, to my students. And what we'll do is I'm going to show you how small savings can save you a fortune in the long run. Let me get some more real estate here. That should be good enough. And I'm sorry if you have to zoom in there to see it. But watch this. So if I were to if I were to buy instead of paying $4 for coffee every single day, if I were to actually make it myself at home and save $4, let's call it save $2 a day to be global. Okay, so if I make my own coffee every day at home and I save $2, and my spouse does that as well, in 50 years we would have $1.7 million. And you can download this if you want. This is an excerpt from my MBA degree program. Okay. And I even set it up so you can select your type in your own currency here and your favorite charity. That was a bad joke. Doctors Without Diploma. It's not a real charity. Okay, here we go. I'll call it United Way. How's that? Actually, screw that. Red Cross. And in Israel, it's called I think the Magen David Cross. It's cool. Or Magen David. All right. And so that's how much money you'll save. And you can play around this as well. Tweak it if you want. Ignore that, please. That's just a warning that I got to wrap up the call in a minute. But I want to go through this. This is fun. Okay. So if your kid wants to buy Beats by Dre and it's $350, you could tell them, wait a second, if you put money in the bank or invest at 15% return per year, it's $380,000 over a lifetime. So you'll save that much money by not buying Beats by Dre. And if you want, you could change it to Mercedes. Say I want to buy a Camry instead of Mercedes. But if you buy a Mercedes, and let's say it's going to cost you $20,000 more than buying a Camry, well, if you didn't do that, you save that 20 grand incremental at 9.5% interest per year, you would have $1.9 million. It's amazing. It's amazing, yeah. And then let me show you one more thing here. I want to show you about renting. Here it is here. Yeah. Okay. So if instead of renting an apartment at $600 a month, over 50 years, if you actually bought your own place and the interest rate was 9.5%, you'd be worth $8.5 million more. Buy as early as you can. It took me until my 30s to buy. I remember Christina, my wife and I, we lived in New York City, and we lived through 9/11. It was terrible. I was in the most southern building in Manhattan on the top floor, and we saw it all. It was awful. And God bless those that passed away, especially Naoka Kushitani, who was one of my clients when I did Japanese equities. But when we lived there after 9/11, it felt so uncomfortable to buy a place, but we bought because you gotta be a contrarian. If it doesn't feel uncomfortable, you're not doing it right when it comes to real estate. Don't overextend yourself, obviously. But anyway, if you live in New York City and it's $1,500 rent per month, which is actually pretty low relative to the nicer places you can get. If instead you didn't rent and you bought a place, then over 50 years at 9.5% interest rate, which is the average historical annual stock market return, you'd be worth $21 million more. It's amazing. It all adds up. Yeah. And I hope you can all join me in my MBA degree program for more details on this. And for more details on the MBA degree program, including the frequently asked questions, etc., go to HarounEducation.com. And so we have to wrap up the call because we're now just after 11 a.m. And I've got to start doing for MBA degree students only office hours. And then I have one-on-ones with my MBA degree students. That's why I have a timer there. It's 20 minutes per one-on-one today. I have a lot of them set up back to back to back to back to back. And so I'm sorry, I can't get to all the questions here. And so if you have additional questions that I did not answer today, what I want you to do, please, is I want you to copy them and then just paste them next week. And if you're one of my MBA degree students, you can just ask me the questions in the next call coming up. That is the platinum and gold versions of my MBA degree students. So within 24 to 48 hours, this call will be typed up. So you can go to the description field in YouTube within 1 to 2 days, and you can click on any question, and you'll jump immediately to me answering that question. I just want to save you time and humbly add as much value as I possibly can. And so if you subscribe to my vlog, and I vlog every day, then I'll see you tomorrow on my vlog. If not, God bless you all. Stay safe, stay happy and healthy. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you all next Thursday and every Thursday forever at 8 a.m. San Francisco time. Thanks a lot, and God bless.